For centuries, humans have hunted his kind, like vermin slaughtering goblins just to cash in on their severed ears. Meet Nog, a goblin who refused to just run. While his kin fled in terror, he craved the truth behind the human bloodlust. They mocked his curiosity, branding him a lunatic. But Nog's resolve never wavered until the day he finally claimed an adventurer's life. In that instant, the impossible ignited. He tapped into the human arcane system, a divine cheat code to transform a lowly goblin into a god. Now Nog wields a power no goblin has ever touched, mastering infinite skills once reserved only for the human elite. Rectoris looms ahead, the southern goblin hub. A massive mushroom towers at its center, marking their desperate sanctuary. Resting there, he broods over the grisly trade of goblin ears. Why do humans value these trophies above all else? A vision of a legendary warrior flashes before him. Startled, he spins around, leaving his confused friend wondering if he's lost it. He sprints toward a growing commotion, demanding answers. Murmuring apologies, the duo shoves their way through the restless pack. They reach the front just as their chieftain delivers grim news. The human raids are reaching a brutal fever pitch. Nearby, a female goblin weeps for her fallen kin. Nog approaches, asking if her brother Kraz truly fell in the skirmish. She freezes her mind, a blur of grief. Was it today, or was Kraz the one who died last week? He sighs, realizing how many have perished in this endless war. Suddenly, the leader's voice thunders with raw conviction. I know the path to victory, the chief roars. Nog stares back, his mind racing for a better way. While Nog considers tactical traps, the chief announces a cruder plan. They'll use their massive numbers to drown the humans in blood. Nog isn't having it. He cuts through the cheering crowd, screaming for the elder to stop before it's too late. The chieftain's gaze turns icy as he waits for Nog's defense. Nog warns that this suicide mission only leads to more graves. Then give us a better option, the leader barks. Under intense pressure, Nog proposes a radical shift in their hunting tactics. Survival requires immediate change, but for the long haul, they must uncover why these adventurers are obsessed with their extinction. Confusion ripples through the pack. They've never heard anything so bizarre, but the elder's face twists with pure, unadulterated disgust. A booming laugh erupts from the chief's throat. He mocks Nog, calling it the most idiotic plan in their history. Silent and worried, Nog's friend watches the tense standoff from the sidelines as the crowd's hostility builds. The mob sneers, calling him a traitorous barbarian. The elder demands he face reality, that only violence stops violence. Only raw, crushing force will send those humans packing. The chief slaps his face, declaring that power is the only truth. Fuming with rage, Nog smashes his fist into the wooden railing and storms off into the shadows. Safe in his hut, he seethes over being called a fool. His friend lingers in the doorway, watching his silent fury. Gripping a heavy hammer, Nog declares they're going through with it. His friend can only stare in utter confusion. He reveals a massive wooden chest rigged with a strange bell. Grunting with effort, he prepares for the next phase. He heaves the heavy lid open, his eyes burning with resolve. We're going to catch ourselves a human hunter. It's time to uncover the truth behind their hatred. As night falls, a new dawn for their kind awaits. Morning light hits the village as a massive goblin warband marches through the gates, ready for blood. A knock rattles Nog's door, but he's preoccupied. Inside, the rhythmic clang of his hammer never ceases. He's hyper-focused on his latest masterpiece, striking hot metal, as he perfects every lethal detail of his secret project. Job done, he wipes the sweat from his brow and tosses the hammer aside with a satisfied grin. He admires his finished invention, his heart racing. This is the game changer that will finally fix everything. Standing at the threshold, he asks if his friend is ready. She hoists a massive pack, her expression determined. They slip out of the village, noting the main hunters have already departed. The perfect opening has arrived. Deep in the ancient forest, a goblin squad stealthily navigates through a wilderness teeming with dangerous predators. Despite being the forest's weakest dwellers, goblins survive by overwhelming their foes with sheer unrelenting numbers. They use swarm tactics to crush resistance, yet every creature here fears the same shadow lurking in the woods. Human raiders ambush the goblins. Memories of past massacres flash through their collective minds. Humans have been invading these woods forever, slaughtering everything that breathes with cold, calculated precision. These ruthless adventurers seem to be hunting for something specific, using devastating magic to incinerate the goblin resistance. One goblin sprints for his life, desperate to outrun a searing magical bolt chasing him from behind. The blast swallows him whole. Moments later, a second strike cleaves through a massive structure like a hot knife. With a thunderous parry, the adventurer shatters the strike, watching the energy dissipate into nothingness. A jagged shard reflects a haunting memory as a voice echoes. Suddenly, his friend's shout snaps him back. Jerking awake, he stammers an apology, claiming the discarded loot on the forest floor had him totally distracted. She frowns, questioning why they're lurking here, instead of joining the massive brawl at the forest's heart. A flashback hits a goblin brutally tagging an adventurer. He grimly warns her that one mistake means instant death. Charging into the chaos is suicide. Besides, A low-level adventurer is likely patrolling this specific perimeter anyway. He snaps his gauntlet shut, prepping for Phase 2. This outer forest edge, he notes, is the endgame. It's the ultimate trap zone. She spots a prime location, nodding her approval as he silently agrees. He points forward, declaring it's go time for their 3-trap setup, kicking things off with the net launcher. They rig the first mechanism. Next, a jagged bear trap is meticulously hidden deep within the swaying tall grass. To finish, a massive slingshot is anchored between 2 trunks. The stage is finally set for the ambush. She's hyped by the gear but roasts his cringe naming sense, leaving him totally flustered and visibly embarrassed. Suddenly, an adventurer enters the path, suspiciously calling out into the silence of the woods. They track the target as he nears the tension wire. Completely clueless, the man is seconds from disaster. But the moment his boot hits the rope, it just snaps, failing to trigger the mechanism at all. Glancing at the frayed line, the guy just shrugs and wanders off. They watch their prey slip away. She demands to know why the trap flopped. Baffled, he insists his setup was flawless and shouldn't have failed. Boom, the net launcher misfires, pinning him down instead. She loses it, joking that at least it actually works. Tangled and fuming, he barks at her to stop laughing and help. Later, reset and ready, he vows no failures. Gesturing toward a thicket, she confirms if one step triggers the trap, revealing their shiny new bait. A massive, glowing purple crystal sits nestled in the leaves. It's a legendary mineral, he explains with pride. Irresistible loot for any player. Back on the trail, the adventurer pauses, eyeing the gem from afar. From the shadows, she whispers, "Did he see it?" After a bored look, the adventurer just keeps moving. She cackles, mocking their target's exquisite taste in stones. Time to pivot to their final backup plan. She grumbles about humans, ignoring high-tier minerals, then suggests a devious new lure with a sly grin. Explaining her plan, she says humans crave goblin loot. He instantly hatches a scheme. He finds a way to bait the hook. Concealed, they watch their mark drift toward the new trap. The target freezes. He mutters about hearing a strange noise coming directly from the nearby bushes. He doubts a basic doll will work, but the adventurer's eyes light up. It's perfect for his quest. Now, he bellows. Reality hits the target. He's walked right into a lethal ambush. She pulls with everything. She yanks the line, triggering the rig. The rope snags the adventurer, hoisting him skyward in an instant. He's totally stuck. My turn, he smirks, prepping Phase 2 as he winds up for the strike. He hurls a heavy rope bundle. It hits the target dead on, knocking him unconscious with a sickening thud. He locks the rope in place, confirming the next move. The intruder dangles there, completely out cold. The man is dead to the world, dangling motionless after that brutal direct impact to the dome. Inside a cramped dark chest, they peer down. Rise and shine, he sneers at the dazed waking captive. The captive gasps, dangling over a pit of lethal stakes. He coldly promises freedom if the man cooperates. Shell-shocked, the captive can't believe he was actually outplayed by a couple of goblins. They gear up, announcing it's interrogation time. He gives the dangling prisoner a menacing little shove. He demands full cooperation. Stepping closer, he asks why humans harbor such intense hatred for goblin kind. He points out, they spend their lives hunting goblins just for their teeth. Right on cue. His partner cuts in, reminding him they harvest other trophies too, starting a grim list. She counts off the ears first. Then she adds goblin hair to their morbid collection of stolen loot. Gesturing wildly, she screams that they even steal fingers. To finish the list, she bellows, "And their teeth." He turns to her deadpan, noting that he literally just said that. He presses him again, his voice trembling with a single desperate plea. Why must they choose war over peace? Instead of answering, the adventurer sneers that a lowly goblin could never understand, sparking an immediate threat. He glares back, teeth clenched in defiance. Skipping the small talk, he ruthlessly shoves the captive back over the edge of the lethal spike pit. He cold-bloodedly declares the man's death sentence for his silence. Yet even bound, the adventurer spits out a question. Does he actually believe these hollow threats can break him? Suddenly, his eyes dart sideways, catching a glimpse of her. Right then, she unsheathes a hidden axe, poised to sever the line. Pure terror strikes, as the adventurer shrieks in agony. With the goblin frozen in shock, she delivers a surgical strike directly to the post, anchoring the trap's rope. The cord snaps. The adventurer plummets toward the abyss as a desperate cry for her name echoes through the air. As the captive vanishes into the swallowing darkness, the goblin stares down his face, a mask of absolute unmitigated panic. Down in the gloom, a forest of jagged stakes waits to impale him. He desperately lunges forward, reaching into the void. He frantically bellows his friend's name while grasping at shadows. Whirling around, he demands to know why she severed the line. Snapping back, she claims he was the one who signaled her. He explodes in rage, instantly firing back a denial. He fumes, insisting he was only bluffing to terrify the prisoner, arguing they hadn't even established any secret hand signals yet. Horror dawns on her as she shrieks that they've committed murder. He points an accusing finger, fiercely correcting her mid-panic. "You killed him, you moron," he barks. Peering into the darkness, they freeze as a pale hand rises from the spikes. Spotting signs of life, she casually suggests he dive down and retrieve him. He recoils, appalled that she'd even suggest such madness. She won't budge. Left with no alternative, he stares into the abyss in grim silence as he's slowly lowered down. He bellows at her to keep a tight grip. Clinging to the rope, she swears she won't let go come what may. During his descent, a mysterious entity crawls from the pit's depths, catching him completely off guard. Suddenly, a tiny spectral wisp erupts from the stakes. Utterly baffled, he lets out a startled shout. He panics, demanding to know what that thing is. Terrified, he frantically kicks the air, trying to ward off the spirit. The wisp dives straight into his chest, vanishing inside him. After absorbing the entity, he clutches his heart, lost in bewilderment. He bellows that the spirit possessed him, leaving her stunned. Then, with an explosive surge of power, he scales the walls and leaps out. She stares at his escape, questioning his strange behavior and the missing corpse. Breathless, he explains that a bizarre soul just emerged. It crawled right out of the dead man. Now, a glowing welcome prompt for a new player flickers before him. A digital system interface materializes in his vision. The spirit chirps, announcing he's unlocked a legendary acceleration skill. Grinning, the wisp offers him the power. He whirls toward his friend, asking if she can see this talking phantom too. The ghost whispers that he alone can see its form. To her, he's just babbling nonsense, and she demands an explanation. She crosses her arms, scoffing that a haunting is exactly what he deserves. Enraged, he bellows, "Why me and not you? You're the one who cut the rope." Staring at the floating UI, he reaches out, trying to touch the holographic display. His fingers glide through the light like smoke. He turns to her, desperate, asking if she truly can't see this interface. He recoils, unnerved by her blank stare. Suddenly, the bushes rustle as a squad of elite adventurers emerges from the shadows. They heard the goblin's shriek. Sensing the threat, he immediately squares his shoulders, bracing for a brutal confrontation. She screams a warning as reinforcements surround them. Without a second thought, he seizes her arm with a crushing grip. They have to move now, dragging her along, he bellows, for her to run as their desperate flight for survival begins. Spotting the escapees, the lead adventurer orders a full-scale hunt. They tear through the dense forest, hearts hammering in their chests. A whistling arrow streaks past, thudding into a nearby trunk. Jarred by the near miss, he skids to a halt, looking back. Arrows rain down like lethal needles as they flee. Thinking fast, he shouts for them to scatter and break their line of sight. A violent explosion erupts just inches from his friend. Forced apart, a lone pursuer stalks him down the narrow dirt path. Mid-sprint, he yells random nonsense about hygiene. As the system demands a response, he snarls, "Does this ghost ever shut up?" He's seconds away from death. Spotting the word accelerate, a realization hits him. This skill is his only ticket out alive. Cornered, he slams the accept button with everything he's got. The moment he confirms, the world begins to change. Raw electric power surges through his veins. As the skill activates, a mage taunts him, daring him to survive the coming strike. Suddenly, a massive roaring fireball hurtles through the trees. It slams into the earth with a deafening fiery impact. The arcane blast detonates, obliterating the path. In the wake of the shockwave, a massive burning tree begins to collapse. Roaring in sheer defiance, he vows to survive and charges straight into the jaws of certain death. Channeling his intent, he ignites his latest skill, pushing his physical limits to reach godlike speeds. He digs his heel in, launching like a bullet, and leaving a trail of dust in his wake. The ability triggers, propelling him forward, as the bewildered mage watches his target vanish instantly. Shocked that a mere goblin possesses such power, the mage begins chanting a devastating high-tier spell. Weaving through the onslaught, the goblin accelerates further before bracing his body for a violent halt. He slams his foot down, the sheer force shattering the ground beneath him into a million pieces. Gasping for air, he wonders if he just teleported, his mind reeling from the sudden displacement. He confronts the spirit, who confirms with a smirk that he successfully activated a temporary speed boost. The term accelerate echoes in his mind as the enemy regroup, leaving no time for confusion. With a sharp cry, he bolts again, warning the ghost that a long explanation is coming. Grinning wildly, he promises a full interrogation once they survive this chaotic mess. He tears through the forest, arriving at the village only to find a landscape of total ruin. Horror strikes as he surveys the adventurer's path of destruction, littered with his fallen kin. Broken bodies lie scattered among the debris, while a young girl sobs over a lifeless comrade. This ends now. Suddenly, a massive goblin survivor calls out, his voice heavy with desperation. The goblin freezes in shock, unable to believe our protagonist is still standing after that slaughter. He ignores the question, his eyes searching the wreckage for the one person he needs to find. Desperation takes hold as he sprints through the smoldering village, hunting for any sign of her. Screaming her name, he scans the frantic crowd, his heart sinking with every passing second. He fights through the chaos until the spirit suddenly manifests, coiling around his trembling form. "Can you read my mind?" he gasps, startled by the spirit's eerily perfect timing and smile. The spirit nods, revealing its telepathic link, and offering the analyze skill to locate his target. Perplexed by the concept of skills, he realizes he has no choice but to trust the ghost. Following the spirit's lead, he channels his focus to awaken the latent power of his vision. His eyes flare with light, cutting through the dense crowd to identify a familiar energy signature. There she is. Standing alone amidst the panic, her aura shines with a distinct, unmistakable glow. Roaring her name, he dives into the crowd to rescue her from the unfolding nightmare. She turns her eyes brimming with tears as she stares back in a state of pure shock. Sobbing, she lunges into his arms, convinced that the adventurers had already claimed his life. She begs him never to leave her again, while he remains silent, still processing the trauma. Finally, he smiles and holds her tight, while the little spirit watches their reunion from above. Safely back at their shelter, a heavy silence falls as they prepare for a long overdue talk. He glares at the spirit, threatening it to spill the truth, or face his wrath. "Who are you talking to?" she asks, confused as he explains his pact with the ghost. She listens in stunned silence, while he ignores her skepticism, pressing the spirit for real answers. The spirit playfully startles her, reminding them both that it's an immortal guide, not a foe. He begins scrolling through the holographic system windows until a new notification pings his mind. Realizing he's a user, he calls out the spirit's name, Pip, seeking more data on himself. Pip beams with joy, confirming that the interface is synced and ready for further exploration. The answers come easily, and a status screen pops up, revealing his pathetic level 1 stats. He realizes that gaining experience is the key to leveling up and becoming a true powerhouse. It seems like a fantasy world come to life, but his measly 2 strength points are insulting. His jaw drops when he sees her stats. His friend is somehow 6 times stronger than him. As she watches him spiral, Pip reveals the final twist. The entire system has been reset. On his own, he's undeniably pathetic. He can't stop dwelling on how that adventurer snagged such a cheat code, and if every human possesses it, that would certainly explain their monstrous power. Suddenly, the memory of past slaughters resurfaces, fueling a fire of curiosity within him. Out of nowhere, the tiny spirit manifests, killing his train of thought. With absolute resolve, he demands the truth right now. He craves the secrets peers behind that system's mechanics. Rising to his feet, he faces his companion, his eyes burning with newfound determination. He's officially determined to uncover why these adventurers hunt them like prey. Beyond that, he needs to grasp what this system truly represents. He has to know how it functions. Turning to his friend, he calls her name, a wild grin spreading as he shares his reckless plan. It's a mission for the both of them. Thrusting his fist toward the sky, he declares that they're infiltrating the enemy as adventurers. Stepping out of the village, he feels the thrill of the unknown. With a sharp new look, things are finally about to get spicy. He preps for the journey by securing a mask. Adjusting his gear, he fastens it tight to ensure his true identity remains a total mystery. She's skeptical about the plan, but he brushes it off. He explains that this isn't a costume, it's authentic, high-tier adventurer equipment. The ultimate camouflage. Flaunting the mask, he claims it's the most foolproof disguise they could have possibly scavenged. Flashback time. She's drowning in mage robes, cursing the ridiculous outfit. Smothered, he snaps at her to quit whining and help him out. Back to the present. She insists they need real firepower to survive. Gripping massive gauntlets, a dangerous spark finally lights up her eyes. These are her new favorites. Shadowboxing the air, she boasts that she's more than ready to throw hands with anyone. Torn on his own choice, he recalls the skill Pip mentioned earlier. It's time to put that analysis ability to the ultimate test. He scans the treasury's arsenal. Through his HUD, the raw stats of nearby blades and daggers flash vividly before his eyes. But a harsh notification blares a warning. He lacks the raw strength required to wield these heavy hitters properly. He slumps, forced to accept his current limits. Only a basic dagger is willing to obey his weak stats for now. The numbers don't lie. A simple blade is his only viable path forward. Picking up the weapon, he lets out a quiet sigh. He always envisioned himself wielding something legendary. In his mind, he's a god-tier warrior, clad in shimmering golden armor. Reality check. He grips the small knife, mocking his own delusions. Pip chirps in, reminding him it's all about the level-up grind. To wield the big toys, he needs experience. Plus, the spirit reveals he can stash the dagger in a personal pocket dimension. Confused by the magic storage, he asks if it's actually real. Giving the command, the steel in his hand dissolves into digital data. He panics as it vanishes, but Pip confirms it's safely stored. It's the ultimate convenience for a warrior on the move. Just a thought, and the menu appears. He grins at the spirit. This system is actually cracked and incredibly useful. From the sidelines, she watches him twitching and talking to thin air. She's officially convinced he's finally lost his mind. She stares at him with pure confusion written on her face. Trekking through the woods, she questions his weird, frantic hand waving. He tries to explain the ghost-given system, but she's not buying it. She tells him to drop the delusional act once and for all. Suddenly, a desperate shout echoes through the trees, snapping them both into a state of high alert. Recognizing the voice, he charges toward the sound. She's confused, but he just flashes a confident smirk, Remember, we're the heroes now. Reaching the clearing, they dive into the thick brush to stay out of sight. Holding their breath, they peek through the leaves. It's time to see what kind of mess they've stumbled into. An adventurer is drowning in slimes, cursing their numbers. His partner is baffled by why they appeared so aggressively on the path. They lock eyes, sensing the chaos. To find the truth, he triggers his analysis, searching for the cause of the attack. Zeroing in on the monsters, the scan shows the adventurer was mindlessly hacking away at every slime that approached. Looking closer at the dirt, he spots crushed wild berries. He realizes these humans weren't just walking, they were stealing. A total rookie mistake. Their clumsy gathering triggered the forest's wrath, and now the slimes have them completely cornered. Desperate, the adventurer raises his shield to block the onslaught. He braces for impact, but the slimes are relentless. Crack. The defense shatters under the pressure. The two partners exchange one last terrified look, unsure of their next move. "I'm out." The coward deserts his post, ignoring her screams. She's left alone, cursing his spineless betrayal. Surrounded and hopeless. From the shadows he watches in disgust. How could anyone abandon their own comrade like that? A dark memory flickers. He remembers the soul-crushing weight of his own past sins the day he ran away too. The agony of that choice stings like a fresh wound. Suddenly, his friend's voice pulls him back from the dark abyss. He grabs her, his eyes blazing with intent. "We're moving in," he declares. The slimes are closing in for the kill. The girl takes a brutal hit. She coughs up blood, the sheer force of the impact leaving her completely defenseless. Seeing the chaos, her comrade screams her name and sprints toward her, shouting there isn't a second to lose. He blocks her path to stop the healing process, as a wave of slimes swallows them whole. No escape. Out of nowhere, a blur of steel shreds the slimes apart. The adventurer can only watch in absolute shock. Two masked figures emerge from the shadows, their leader calmly telling the duo to keep their cool. Toying with a sharp dagger, he promises they're on their side, even as slimes tighten the circle. "There's a ton of these things," one mutters. Suddenly, a slime in their way is sliced clean in two. The severed halves pulse and fuse back together, the monster regenerating instantly before their eyes. He warns that only crushing the core works, but the relentless blobs just keep lunging at them. He realizes the monsters won't quit, they're attracted to those berries like moths to a flame. Noticing her bloody knee, he checks on her. She grits her teeth, insisting she can push through the pain. "Are you guys all right?" she asks, breathing a sigh of relief for this clutch save. They trade looks, wondering if these two are actually gnomes. But the slimes aren't waiting around. One slime actually mocks them with a gurgle. He slaps his buddies back, confirming their gnome identity. They charge into the fray together. He vaults into the air, bringing his blade down on a monster. Damn it, he missed the core. He hits the dirt and braces his sword as slimes close in from both sides. An idea sparks as the core glows right in front of him. Suddenly, the slime fuses with his steel. A system alert pings. With the skill active, his vision shifts now. He can see everything perfectly. His eyes lock onto the creature's fatal flaw. In one fluid motion, he spins and delivers a lethal strike. "I see it, the weak point," he yells. After the kill, he grins at Pip, hyping up his victory. A new system window flickers to life, confusing him. Pip explains that every kill earns them experience points. Collect enough experience and you level up, but before Pip can finish, slimes slam him from every angle. The situation is turning south fast. Pip shouts that the tutorial can wait until after they survive. Gobble suddenly vaults over his shoulder like a blur. She hits the ground with a devastating bone-shattering strike. He's floored. Gobble doesn't even bother aiming for the core. She just obliterates everything in her path. Seeing her battle-ready stance, he realizes Pip wasn't capping. Gobble clenches her fist, ready to throw down. Her raw power is insane. Nog nervously checks his stats and asks Pip what happens if his HP zeroes out. "You die," Pip says bluntly. Nog freaks out. He thought he'd just respawn or faint. Laura begs him to stop stressing her out. Meanwhile, Gobble pulverizes another slime into a puddle. Nog style points his way through an enemy, twirling his blade as his experience bar ticks up. Smack. A slime hits him right in the face before jumping back and sticking its tongue out mockingly. Things get real as Gobble is sent flying into a tree. The two stand back to back, breathing heavily. They're completely boxed in. There are just too many of them. "It's over," the injured girl cries. "We're dead." She begs Laura to run and save herself. "No way." Laura locks in, remembering her vow to become a legendary adventurer. She isn't leaving anyone. Their stamina is redlining, but Laura vows to heal her friend as soon as they get a breather. Nog's mind races for an exit strategy, but the endless tide of slimes is simply overwhelming. Exhaustion sets in. He considers gambling everything on that one skill again. But then, "Could be worse," a voice echoes. Suddenly, a massive shockwave obliterates every slime on the field. Stunned, he spins toward the source of the blast. Even Gobble and Pip are left speechless. The injured girl looks up, her eyes wide with hope. Could it really be him? A waterfall of kill notifications floods his vision. Every single monster has been wiped out. "Who the hell did that?" he gasps. A figure steps onto a fallen trunk, looking totally unfazed. Laura's eyes light up. Tyros, she screams as the legendary swordsman steps into the moonlight. He flashes a confident smirk lifting his blade. Glad I made it before things got messy, he jokes. Tyros tips his hat for protecting the girls while Laura screams at Edward for being so late. Giving a thumbs up, Laura admits they'd be toast without him. Tyros then breaks down the tank's vital role. Laura jokes he's the absolute worst, but Tyros reaches out a hand, introducing himself to the duo. Nog stares blankly at the extended hand, paralyzed by the human gesture. He starts to stumble over his words. Gubble jumps in, shaking Tyros' hand, while introducing both herself and Nog to the warrior. She immediately asks about a reward. Embarrassed, Nog frantically signals for her to pipe down and be polite. Tyros just laughs, vibing with her blunt energy while considering what kind of loot they deserve. He shocks them by inviting them to the Murag Guild. Beaming, Nog instantly accepts before Gubble can object. On the move, a starving Gubble complains about the distance. Tyros leads the way, promising they're almost there. Noticing Tyros' insane power, Nog eyes his blade and commands Pip to run a full analysis. Pip scans the legendary-looking weapon, but the system hits a wall, flashing a massive error message instead. Pip explains his level is too low for this intel. Nog flashes back to their recent battle. He realizes grinding monsters is the key to boosting his combat stats. The system still feels like a mystery. He wonders if leveling up buffs his raw power. Pip notes Tyros must be a beast to break the system. Finally, Tyros stops and reveals they've arrived at Murag Village. The duo is instantly blown away by the view. They marvel at how massive and high-tech the settlement looks. A flashy boutique on the main road catches them off guard. Exploring the town reveals a hidden side of this world. A blacksmith hammering away sparks their curiosity next. The smell of food sends Gubble sprinting, but Nog grabs her. Tyros chuckles, promising a feast soon. Reaching the guild, Gubble loses it, screaming at Nog to finally let go of her collar. Nog tells her to stop being a vibe killer. Suddenly, both of them stop dead, mesmerized by a clock. The ticking gears in the shop window are hypnotic. The rhythmic movement of the antique has them completely entranced. Laura notices Nog's interest and asks if he likes it, even offering to buy it as a gift. Nog is stunned. Laura points to the display, remembering gnomes actually invented these, making it a weird present. Nog quickly agrees, claiming his grandpa gave him a way better one back home. Laura drops it, promising a better reward for saving their lives. A warm atmosphere settles over the group. They share a genuine smile as they navigate through the bustling, lively streets of the village. Suddenly, a monster's roar shatters the peace. A caged beast lunges at them, causing the pair to jump back. Nearby, a fighter beats a green monster into submission. Seeing their confusion, Tyros explains the cage system. Rare monsters fetch a high price when captured alive. Behind the bars, the creature glares with pure rage. These beasts are destined for a high-security prison. At least that's the rumor Tyros has heard. Gubble urges the group forward, clearly shaken. Nog follows silently, eyes glued to the ground in deep thought. Tyros stops abruptly, announcing they've finally reached their goal. He steps toward a massive building with pride. "Welcome home," he says. They look up to see the intimidating banner of the Red Ravens Guild. They head inside, cutting through the hall. An older man spots Tyros and calls out to him immediately. He was worried Tyros would miss the deadline. With a smirk, Tyros introduces his two new allies. He points to Nog and Gubble, calling them heroes. The man skeptically eyes the strange duo. He doubts the claim. Tyros identifies him as Sefer, the guildmaster, before bringing up the promised reward. Sefer nods, but Gubble is distracted by a crowd nearby. Tyros explains that a major event is happening. Aspirants are lining up for the guild entrance exam. Tyros recalls how he fought his way in. Laura admits they barely scraped by, which explains their bottom-tier rank. Nog's eyes suddenly light up with an idea. This is their ticket. As Sefer reaches for the gold, Nog stops him, asking for a different reward. The proposal makes everyone freeze. Tyros and Sefer turn back, their expressions turning dead serious. Instead of cash, Nog requests that he and Gubble be allowed to take the entrance exam. Sefer is stunned. He leans in, asking if they're truly ready for the life of an adventurer. Tyros whispers a secret suggestion into the guildmaster's ear. Sefer's eyes widen before he makes an announcement. They'll get a special exam instead of gold. The duo gears up as Sefer prepares to reveal the challenge. The trial is simple: survive 60 seconds against the legendary Tyros Talon. Sefer explains the brutal terms last a minute, and the guild is theirs. Right on cue, a shimmering system quest window materializes, detailing their new mission. Grinning at the potential loot, Nog's adrenaline spikes. Alright, they roar, fists punching the sky in total hype. Challenge accepted, they scream together. Tyros takes his stance, his eyes narrowing as he commands them to begin. Standing in the center of the arena, Nog checks in. Gubble ready, she cracks her knuckles, a fierce grin playing. Just 60 seconds, that's all she needs. Sefer points toward the duo, hyping up the crowd for the 1-minute trial. With a sharp flick of his wrist, Sefer signals the start. Instantly, Gubble ignites her power, blurring across the tiles toward Tyros. The sheer explosiveness of her acceleration leaves even the veteran warrior visibly stunned. Gasps erupt from the stands. Nobody's ever seen a gnome move with such raw, blinding velocity before. Watching her Nog recalls her grueling training and wonders just how high her ceiling goes. Leaping skyward, she descends. Like a meteor, her fist shattering the stone floor. Tyros barely reacts in time, catching the shockwave with his blade. A massive explosion of dust swallows the arena. The spectators go wild at the display of pure, unadulterated strength. As the haze clears, Tyros steps back. Gubble lies motionless on the fractured ground, her energy completely spent. Impressive force, Tyros admits, acknowledging the girl's lethal strike. Nog rushes over, screaming her name in a panic, but Tyros reassures him she's only fainted. Turning his gaze back, the warrior readies himself for the next round. Cradling his comrade, Nog hears the call. Saphir's voice booms, announcing the next clash between Tyros and Nog. The pressure is suffocating. Gubble fell in mere seconds. Bracing his soul, Nog feels the weight of the moment. Pip shouts encouragement, but Nog is locked in. He visualizes Laura grounding his focus on one goal, survival. Don't just survive. Win. Pip corrects, and suddenly a brand new skill surges to life within Nog's veins. The guildmaster drops the signal. Like a shot from a railgun, Nog vanishes, reappearing instantly in Tyros' face. His blade aims for the throat, but Tyros is a monster. He catches the razor-sharp edge with his bare hand. Not done yet, Nog grunts. He begins a high-speed dance circling his foe to keep the pressure boiling. Pushing past his limits, Nog's body screams. Laura watches, noting his reckless, hyper-aggressive fighting style. He's stopped playing defense. This isn't a survival test anymore. Nog is actually trying to take Tyros down. Tyros deflects another heavy blow, halting the momentum. Nearby, Gubble finally groans, blinking back into consciousness. Disoriented, she watches Nog slide back, his teeth gritted in frustration. Why can't he land a single clean hit? He lunges again, but Tyros casually parries the strike with his leg. Reality sets in for the young warrior. Tyros has already calculated his rhythm. Suddenly, a massive hand clamps onto Nog's shoulder, freezing him in his tracks. Tyros palms his face with terrifying strength, holding him like a toy before hurling him across the arena floor. Is that all your tricks? Tyros goads. Nog lies in the dirt, gasping the word tricks, echoing like a taunt. Desperation claws at his chest. Then, at his absolute limit, the system pings. His skill has just evolved. Remembering a sacred promise, Nog forces his broken body to move. He won't stay down on this cold floor. He plants his boot, the stone beneath him spiderwebbing. Slowly he rises, radiating an entirely different kind of pressure. Back on his feet, he enters a low stance. Tyros doesn't move, a faint, intrigued smile tugging at his lips. A new notification flashes. Gubble cries out his name, her voice laced with worry, as the air begins to vibrate. If this is my limit, I'll just break it, Nog roars. With newfound speed, he becomes a streak of lightning. Tyros spots the glowing gauntlet, an ace in the hole, yet he stands his ground, welcoming the incoming storm. Without flinching, Tyros watches as Nog teleports directly into his blind spot, moving faster than the eye can follow. He's accelerated again, Tyros marvels. Nog's eyes blaze with power as he zips past a blur of pure intent. The warrior is genuinely impressed. Was the kid holding back this entire time, or is he evolving mid-fight? Attacks rain from every angle. Tyros parries each one his defense, an iron wall that Nog cannot breach. One burst of mana, left Pip warns. Nog clenches his fist, pouring every last drop of spirit into his strike. He's faster than he's ever been. He charges one final time, desperate to find an opening in that defense. Tyros shifts his weight, drawing his sword for a concluding stroke. The air turns cold as the climax approaches. He unleashes a devastating counterstrike. Nog screams, throwing his whole soul into one final world-shaking collision. Tyros acknowledges his impressive performance before shifting gears. Now, the kid gloves are coming off. He readies his ultimate strike. Launching into the sky, he brings his blade crashing down. Trapped on the floor, Nog stares death in the eye. He fumbles for words just as the devastating blow connects. Tyros hammers home a direct hit, shattering any hope of defense. Despite being blasted backward, he mockingly flashes a peace sign. Seeing her comrade sprawled out, panic surges through her. Gubble shrieks his name in pure agony. Tyros walks away, praising his grit until a strange sensation forces him to stop. Eyes wide with shock, he plants a trembling hand on the dirt. Through gritted teeth, he growls that it's not over. Struggling to stand, he swears he's still in the game. Gubble rushes in, desperately screaming for him to stand down. She pleads for him to stop the madness. A stunned Tyros wonders how he's even awake. Suddenly, the guildmaster steps in. Saphir seizes Tyros' wrist, halting the chaos. He looks at the battered fighter and declares the duel officially finished. Pointing at the clock, he reveals Nog passed with 10 seconds left. Tyros whips his head around, staring at his opponent in disbelief. Supporting him, Gubble checks his vitals while he gives a weak nod. Tyros reaches out finally, offering a hand of respect. Recovering in the arena, the pair receives Tyros' praise. He claps a hand on his shoulder with newfound admiration. He commends his tenacity during the brawl. While leaning on his comrade, he predicts he'll become a legendary adventurer one day. Grinning Tyros officially inducts them into the Red Ravens. He unveils their long-awaited guild identification cards with pride. These are your keys to the world. Gubble pouts over her dull gray card, but Nog tells her to zip it. Stroking his chin, Tyros realizes they're total noobs. He begins to break down how the guild's magic actually functions. The sacred altar has soul-bound these cards to you. Gesturing to the colors, he identifies the green card as F rank. He clarifies that questing is the only path to promotion. Feeling dejected, Gubble moans about being even more useless than Nog. He just tunes her out. Hyped up Tyros urges them to dive into a mission immediately. They scan the quest board together. Nog realizes even the jobs have their own hierarchy. Spotting a goblin hunt, he questions the true motives behind the slaughter. He then points out a poster with a massive bounty. It's a wanted flyer for the legendary Great Grom. This goblin hero is a big deal. He's floored by the insane payout, but Tyros quickly steps in to kill the vibe. He suggests a beginner quest and offers his help. Out of nowhere, Laura comes sprinting toward the group. Shouting their names and pointing, she reveals she didn't miss a single second of their intense showdown. She loudly proclaims that they aren't actual gnomes at all. Stunned, the group stands frozen as she struts away. Clutching a basket of elixirs, Nog demands an explanation. Laura pauses and turns back with a knowing smirk. She starts lecturing them on proper gnome prep. Arya chimed in, mocking their lack of gear and total newbie vibes. Offended, they snap back that they aren't rookies. Then the reality of their situation finally sinks in. She offers the basket. Laura clarifies, that's just the label for fresh blood. Intrigued, the pair leans in to examine her vibrant, swirling potions. Passing over the vials, she offers them as a thank you for their rescue. He takes them hesitant. He doubts people actually chug these neon liquids. Gripping a bottle, he activates his analysis skill to peer inside. Suddenly, a system notification pops up, revealing the blueprint for a standard health potion. The log explains it provides steady regeneration. Reading the specs, he's blown away that a simple drink can mend wounds. Flashing some fresh pouches, Arya reveals she bought them for storage. They strap on the gear, feeling like pros. They celebrate the free loot, while Tyros mentions that Laura is a skilled alchemist who brewed these personally. Nog bows like a maniac in gratitude, leaving a flustered Laura giggling at the chaos. He glances away, deep in thought. A light bulb goes off. Recalling the recipe, he questions if his system can actually mass-produce these elixirs. Spotting Pip, he plans a private interrogation later. Suddenly, Tyros suggests the girls tag along on their debut mission. Laura double-checks if Arya is actually fit for duty after that nasty injury she took earlier. With a smirk, she insists she's 100% ready to crush this mission. No sweat. Balling her fists, she declares it's time to show these newcomers what a real pro can do. Tyros grins, signaling the squad is officially ready. Huddled at the board, they weigh their options for the first quest. Nog taps a wolf-slaying quest, offering gold. Tyros raises an eyebrow, asking why that specific target caught his eye. His system confirms wolf fangs are key alchemy ingredients. Playing it cool, Nog hides his true intentions. He claims it's just a simple starter mission with no hidden agenda. Laura narrows her eyes, sensing something's definitely up. Ignoring the mounting tension, Tyros pumps his fist and rallies the group to dive headfirst into the challenge. He consults Pip about his hard-earned points, but the guide warns that stat allocation is a final, permanent choice. Eyeing his gear, he realizes that top-tier weaponry requires specific attribute thresholds to even be wielded. He notes that stats aren't just numbers. They sharpen his skills and refine his body's raw reflexes during combat. Glancing at the interface, he confirms the brutal reality. The experience required to level up steepens with every step. He clutches his head, drowning in indecision, but Pip chirps in, telling him to keep his cool. Pip then explains that while some attributes can be boosted through grueling training, it's a slow burn. He cautions that manual grinding is far more soul-crushing than simply dumping level-up points into stats. With a mocking chuckle, Pip taunts that his strength is so trashed here that any effort will show results. He prepares to commit all his points at once, but an earth-shattering armored stomp suddenly rattles the ground. Their strategy session is cut short by the arrival of a massive towering warrior, wearing a predatory grin. Tyros notes his early return from the hunt, but the Titan just shrugs, dismissing the small talk. Nog stands frozen, paralyzed by the suffocating aura of power radiating from the veteran hunter. Lugging a heavy sack of trophies and his massive weapons, the warrior steps into the light with a cocky smile. He boasts loudly to the room, claiming he's the undisputed king of goblin hunting. Stunned, Nog can't tear his eyes away from the imposing legend standing just inches from him. Nearby, a group of adventurers mock a trapped goblin, while Zoloth rages about his perfect trap design. Recalling Zoloth's reputation as a cold-blooded killer, Nog turns and bolts down the street in a desperate panic. Witnessing the breakdown, Tyros wonders if the goblin's fate is what actually pushed Nog over the edge. Laura and Arya exchange bewildered glances, completely lost as to what triggered Nog's sudden spiral. With a grim expression, Zoloth decides to tail him, while Nog collapses against a damp alley wall. Nauseous and broken, he laments his naive hope that adventurers were more than just glorified bullies. Flashbacks of Zoloth's blade striking a defenseless goblin haunt him, followed by the image of a fleeing victim. Zoloth's cold voice echoes in his mind, asking why anyone would waste pity on mere monsters. Shielding his eyes, Nog vows to uncover the dark truth behind why they are being hunted like vermin. He curls into a ball, overwhelmed by the weight of it all, until his companion finally tracks him down. The party gathers around him, and a concerned Tyros asks if he's still fit for the mission. His friend remains silent, carefully watching how Nog handles the pressure from the veteran hunters. Nog waves off their concern with a fake smile, blaming his collapse on some bad street food. Tyros offers to postpone the raid, but Nog insists he's locked in and ready to fight alongside them. With a determined gaze, he promises the group he's fine forcing Tyros to eventually give him the nod. Now deep in the woods, Tyros warns that dire wolves are absolute killing machines that show no mercy. Crouched in the brush, he explains their hides are like natural armor, and their strength is off the charts. Arya snaps, charging forward while dismissing the E-rank mission as nothing more than child's play. The wolf pack snarls their predatory instincts, instantly locking onto the reckless warrior's position. From his hiding spot, Nog confirms he's ready to execute the plan he's been brewing. Arya unleashes her halberd, shredding through the pack with a blur of high-speed, lethal strikes. From the sidelines, Gumbel watches in awe as the adventurer moves with god-tier velocity. Praising the display, Nog's friend admits she looks incredibly cool in the heat of battle. Tyros remains unimpressed, laughing off the wolves as weaklings he'll personally finish off. Suddenly, the wolves coordinate a massive swarm attack, prompting Tyros to bark at Arya for her recklessness. He yells at her for breaking formation as Arya struggles to keep a wolf's jaws from her throat. The beast sinks its fangs into her weapon's shaft, trying to crush it with sheer force. Dropping from above like a shadow, Nog buries a heavy haymaker directly into the wolf's skull. Arya stares in total shock as Nog follows up, driving his dagger deep to end the beast's life. The beast pivots, locking eyes with Nog, who grips his blade with white-knuckled intensity. Gubel charges in, unleashing a devastating strike that sends the monster hurtling into the distance. She snaps her blade forward, finishing the strike as Arya gazes up from the dirt. Stunned by the turn of events, the warrior realizes her life has been saved once again. Nog glares at his useless dagger. It couldn't even scratch the pelt. Time is officially running out. His mind flashes to his allies. He refuses to let Gubel or the others fall here. Watching his bleeding comrades, he vows to transcend his limits, his roar echoing through the trees. Instantly, Pip confirms the system points are live. With a surge of confidence, Nog readies himself. He stomps, shattering the earth before blitzing forward to shred the wolf pack with blinding speed. Arya watches the slaughter in disbelief, wondering how he's suddenly tearing through monsters like butter. As the final wolf drops, she's left questioning this insane split-second power spike. Tyros observes the carnage with a smirk, crossing his arms as he acknowledges the victory. Ding, level 5 reached. Nog stares ahead, knowing that grinding levels is his only path forward. Back at base, the mood is electric, as Tyros leads the toast for their successful hunt. Beaming with pride, the veteran gives a special shout-out to their newest recruits, Nog and Gubel. Mugs clink in the air just as the system notification flashes mission accomplished. Nog dives into his menus, ignoring the party until Pip pops up with high-energy vibes. He's finally hit level 3, banking 3 status points to fuel his growing potential. Suddenly, a prompt flickers to life. An evolution path for his analysis skill is now available. He mashes the accept button instantly, upgrading his analysis to level 2. Scanning Tyros's gear, the new skill reveals the intricate stats of his teammate's legendary blade. The name Radiant glows on the screen, though its deepest secrets remain locked for now. Even with partial data, the progress is undeniable. He's seeing a world he couldn't before. Reflecting on his 24-hour transformation, a satisfied grin plays on his lips. He pumps his fist, shouting in triumph as he finally secures the power he craved. Arya is totally confused, but Laura just chuckles, figuring he's riding a hero's high. Tyros approaches, wearing a knowing smile, as he asks Nog for a private moment. The leader praises his rapid growth before dropping a bombshell opportunity on the young warrior. He pulls out a mysterious scroll offering the rookie a high-stakes contract, usually reserved for veterans. The target, a rank C Great Boar. It's a massive jump in difficulty, and they know it. Nog pales slightly, remembering that the elite hunter Zoloth is also rank C. Reviewing the details with Pip, Nog learns the rest of the crew is already on board. Tyros waits for his answer, while Nog weighs the lethality of a rank C mission. Can their teamwork truly overcome such a monstrous threat? Doubt flickers, but only for a moment. Risk equals reward. Gritting his teeth, Nog decides to gamble it all on this hunt. He accepts the challenge, earning a final nod from Tyros before the veteran departs. The deal is struck. Back in his quarters, Nog finally lets the satisfaction sink in. While Gubel snores nearby, Nog remains glued to the system screen, plotting his next move. He mutters about their chaotic day just as Pip reappears, curious as ever. Nog explains he's tinkering with a new discovery, the recipe for a specialized potion. By deconstructing Laura's gear, he realized he already had the necessary forest ingredients. He opens the interface, wondering if the system will accept his raw materials for crafting. Staring at the craft basic potion prompt, he takes the plunge and hits confirm. A shimmering portal opens, manifesting a physical potion right before his eyes. Success. Even without the alchemy skill, he's created a perfect replica of Laura's brew. Pure genius. Staring at the shimmering vial, the sheer scale of his crafting skill finally clicks. This system isn't just helpful, it's a god-tier factory. Provided he has the recipes, he spends the entire night pushing the boundaries of his godlike creation powers. With a single thought, potions manifest out of thin air, cluttering the space outside his modest home. He grimaces, realizing he went a bit overboard with the grind. Suddenly, a rough voice echoes from the shadows, searching for someone named Marcus. The voice gripes about missing the window for the night hunt. Peering from his cover, he catches the group's heated conversation. Apparently a comrade took a hit earlier. Zoloth listens as they describe a goblin ripping a finger clean off during the fray. Nog emerges from the darkness, walking toward the rugged hunters. They instantly tense up, sensing his approach. Zoloth pivots, eyes narrowing at the intruder. Nog halts before the group, bluntly asking if there's a spot for him. He claims his only desire is to slay goblins alongside them. Standing his ground, he stares down the hunters for an answer. Squinting at the kid, Zoloth feels a sense of déjà vu. It hits him. This is the brat who was hanging with Tyros. Remembering the boy's previous weakness, Zoloth looms over him, declaring that his squad has zero tolerance for pathetic deadweight. Zoloth barks at him to beat it, but a teammate speaks up, noting that Nog actually survived Tyros' brutal trial. He pauses, weighing the options since they're short-handed. A tense silence hangs in the air as he deliberates. The choice is made. Pivoting away, he grunts a reluctant fine and signals for Nog to keep up. Slip up once and I'll leave your corpse for the wolves, he threatens as they vanish into the dense forest. A hunter barks at Nog to move faster with the supplies. Zoloth commands him to prep the specialized candy bait. It's the ultimate lure. Nog realizes these guys are exploiting the goblin's legendary obsession with sugary treats and shiny loot. He knows goblins are greedy hoarders. We flash back to two runts stumbling upon a massive treasure chest deep in the woods. Watching the trap unfold, he sees how they masterfully manipulate scents to draw monsters in. Their efficiency is terrifying. Nog nears Zoloth, hoping to dig for info. He breaks the ice by complimenting the leader's obvious overwhelming strength. He questions why they settle for goblins instead of high-rank beasts. Zoloth meets his gaze with icy eyes and a simple answer. Goblins are easy prey, and their loot sells for a premium. Suddenly, he lets out a jagged shout. Want to know the best part, he sneers. They're hideous, vile pests, and their screams are music to my ears. Licking his lips in sick anticipation, he admits this is all just a game. He barks orders, scattering the men to their posts. The squad readies their weapons. Nog is shaken, realizing these psychos hunt for nothing but twisted, sadistic thrills. His fist tightens as he desperately hunts for a way to sabotage them. Suddenly, two goblins emerge from the brush. They waddle right toward the kill zone. Staring at the candy, they mock the trap for being too blatant to ever work. Despite their words, they bite. Nog wonders if these creatures are truly brainless as he points them out. Now, take them down, he bellows. From the foliage, the hidden hunters watch his bizarre, unscripted outburst in total shock. Startled by the shout, the goblins vanish into the midnight woods. Zoloth's blood begins to boil with irritation. Zoloth sneers, asking if Nog is brain-dead. The other men join in, laughing off his clumsy rookie mistake with mockery. Throughout the night, he pulls every trick to sabotage the hunt. He fires his weapon wide, offering a fake, clumsy apology. Mid-climb, he accidentally dislodges a stone that nails a hunter below. The man erupts in a fit of rage. He's told to watch his step or else. Nog just turns back with a blank face, apologizing for the unfortunate accident. Another hunter loses his footing, wiping out hard on the forest floor. Nog realizes he's pushing his luck. One more stunt, and they'll get suspicious. Suddenly, Zoloth's hand shoots out, snatching a fleeing goblin by the throat. Lugging the struggling creature, he regroups with his team. He slams the terrified goblin into the dirt with total indifference. Zoloth barks the order, "Kill it, Nog." Nog's eyes lock onto the creature, paralyzed by the horrific command. Zoloth reminds him, he's the new guy. It's time to prove he actually belongs here. This is his blood initiation. The first kill is yours, Zoloth sneers. Nog's hands shake violently as he points his dagger at the whimpering target. Suddenly, Nog's world stops. The creature speaks in a familiar voice, its tiny frame quaking with pure, unadulterated terror. The goblin peers up, questioning if its eyes deceive it. Then it gasps Nog's name, locking eyes with its potential executioner. Nog stands, frozen, his blade hovering in midair. Beside him, Zoloth's gaze sharpens as he catches the recognition between them. "Do you two have some history?" Zoloth probes suspiciously. Nog's mind races as he fumbles for a believable lie. He claims a goblin horde traumatized him as a kid. Pulling an egg from his bag, he says he's just conquering his fears. Pip questions the purpose of the egg in Nog's grip. Suddenly, the tiny goblin realizes exactly what he's clutching. A hunter bellows that it's finally time for Nog's payback. And then, another offers backup, but Nog's gaze turns cold. He declares he'll handle this solo, no assistance needed. Silently, Zoloth observes the chaos when a massive shaggy beast lunges from the shadows, tearing into a hunter. Dropping low, Nog readies his hidden strategy for a quick getaway. A towering stone golem crushes the second hunter. Terrified, the men scream, wondering what kind of nightmares they've awakened. Zoloth spins around, sensing a shift in the woods. Suddenly, an ear-splitting roar echoes, revealing a lethal C-rank monster. The forest guardian has arrived, sending the panicked hunters scrambling for their lives. Dangling from a limb, Nog screams for the little goblin to flee. In a heartbeat, the creature bolts across the clearing in total terror. Amidst the carnage, a hunter yells, demanding an immediate retreat. As the goblin sprints, the memory of that strange egg flashes back. He finally realizes the shell belongs to the wood's mighty protector. Reaching out, Nog sets his next play in motion. He fires his grappling gear to zip away. Boom! The hook bites deep into a massive trunk. He swings wide, soaring far above the trapped hunters. Riding the momentum, he sticks a flawless landing on a canopy branch, before launching another hook to stay mobile. Down below, Zoloth tracks every move with sharp precision. Impressed by the speed, a hunter questions how Nog is even human. But there's no time for questions. The guardian's claws slash down. Leaving his comrade to die, Zoloth shouts, "They have to bail." High above, Nog drops a bombshell. He led the guardian right to them. He planned this whole trap to shut down these bloodthirsty poachers for good. They killed for sport, so this is pure karma. Suddenly, memories of his true companions flood his mind. Thinking of their shared bond, his eyes harden. It's time. He triggers his hidden skill. Super acceleration kicks in exactly as the behemoth lunges for the kill. Moving like a blur, he rams into the hunter, narrowly dodging the beast's strike. Rescued from certain death, the man freezes. He's in shock. Far off, even Zoloth can't believe Nog's selfless gamble. The scene leaves him stunned. Nog hurls the man into the brush, barking at him to run while he holds the line. He vows to lure the beasts away. Sprinting hard, he successfully draws every single monster's aggro. Staring down the Reaper, he finds peace. He leaps at the ultimate moment, taunting the behemoth to chase him down. He launches a hook swinging through the canopy like a pro. The beast lets out a frustrated roar and pivots, hunting him through the dense brush. Nog sticks a high landing, bracing himself for the final showdown. Squared up with the Titan, he asks Pip about his odds. The Guardian warns that his heroic rescue might cost everything. He's literally betting his life. Nog just nods, finally seeing the gravity of it all. It's a level 15 elite. He curses his luck. In the distance, the shockwaves of their clash tear the forest apart. Nog swings frantically, trying to outpace the vengeful forest guardian. Pip screams a warning, shouting that the beast is closing the gap. Without glancing back, Nog roars that he's well aware. It's right on his heels. He wonders just how long this relentless pursuit is going to last. Halting on a branch, he recalls, this ancient protector has guarded these woods for centuries. Summoning dual blades, he hesitates, but staring into the beast's eyes, he knows a clash is inevitable. Vaulting to a nearby trunk, he barely evades a lethal swipe. Seizing the moment, he hurls both daggers with pinpoint accuracy. The steel bites deep, and the Guardian bellows in agonizing fury. He smirks direct hit. Wasting no time, he yanks a hidden cord with all his might. He triggers his latest gadget, but disaster strikes. The mechanism malfunctions, catapulting him and Pip into the sky. Soaring helplessly, he curses the gremlins as the beast tracks him from the ground. He cuts the line, prepping a high-stakes gamble. He dives straight down, slamming with full force into the monster's leg. But the Guardian counters instantly, its claw skewering his shoulder. The impact sends him flying. In the distance, the Titan lets out a terrifying victory roar. Pip can only scream in despair. Look out, he's warned, but the beast moves faster. Its tail whips out like a lightning strike, shredding his defenses. The impact hurls him into a massive trunk. Suddenly, his HUD flickers to life, flashing red as his HP plummets. Digging his heels into the dirt, he grinds to a halt before vaulting onto a jagged rock, breathing heavily. It's time for a desperate gamble. Clenching his fists, he growls, "We are not ending up as monster snacks today." He slams a high-tech trap into the soil. Diving away, he yells, "You are not the only apex predator here, pal." Boom, a colossal iron hammer thunders from the earth, crushing the beast beneath its overwhelming weight. Sprinting through the brush, he taunts, "I know these woods better than you ever will." Then he dives into the abyss. Pip follows in a terrifying freefall. Both partners let out a blood-curdling scream as the ground rushes up to meet them. They slam into the dirt with bone-shaking force. Right behind them, the behemoth descends like a falling mountain, shattering the earth. Through the dust, he watches the shadow move, praying his trap worked. He wipes the grime from his face, whispering, "Gotcha." Pip sighs in relief, chirping that they just barely escaped a one-way trip to the afterlife. But the beast roars back to life, obliterating a tree with a casual swipe. Its raw power leaves him paralyzed with shock. A massive fist connects, sending him tumbling through the undergrowth. He hits another tree, carving a crater into the landscape. Slumped in the wreckage, he doesn't move. That hit was a total game-changer, hovering over his broken body. Pip screams for him to wake up. As the monster looms closer, Pip begs him to get back on his feet. Out of nowhere, Goblin descends. Her weapon arcs through the air, delivering a brutal overhead smash directly into the monster's spine. A perfect ambush. Stunned and bruised Nog looks up to find Goblin standing between him and certain death. "Get up and finish this," she screams. Without missing a beat, she charges back into the fray, keeping the beast busy. "Hurry, Nog," she yells. With his health bar flashing critical, he finally triggers his ultimate hidden ability. He realizes she's the only reason he's alive. When he mutters a thanks, Goblin just scoffs, hiding her blushing face. A smirk plays on his lips. Reinvigorated, he grips his dagger and marches toward the Guardian with deadly focus. "This ends now," he declares. Launching himself into the air, he aims his blade straight for the beast's vulnerable eye. The dagger sinks deep into its massive socket. Even as he strikes, he whispers a final tribute to the Guardian's strength. With a final explosive downward slash, the monster is cleaved apart. He stands tall, staring down his fallen foe. The Guardian collapses, returning to the earth. Mission complete. "Rest now," he says, acknowledging the spirit of the woods. The adrenaline fades, and everything goes dark. As he starts to fall, the battle-worn hero finally loses consciousness. She sprints across the clearing. Just before he hits the dirt, she dives and catches him in a firm embrace. Cradled in her arms, he whispers. A fleeting memory reveals his promise. A young Nog desperately chases after her. Clinging to him, she vows they will never be torn apart as dawn breaks. She scolds him for being so reckless. Suddenly, level-up system alerts flood his vision. The peculiar mushroom-themed goblin village looms ahead. We cut to a humble cottage entrance. Under a sign labeled Nog, the dazed boy finally opens his groggy eyes. He bolts upright with a terrified yell. Panic spreads as Gumble and Pip join the chaos. She delivers a flurry of punches, demanding he stop scaring her. Then she pauses, studying Nog. Sitting on the mattress, she apologizes for the heavy blows. Nog just looks completely spaced out. He stares back with empty eyes. She hops on his back, reminding him she saved his life. Gazing at the interface, a message confirms he has reached level 6. Another window follows. A brand new skill is now available. This rapid growth feels like an impossible dream. He shouts about his triple-level jump. Gumble snaps at him to lower his voice. This sudden experience gain is baffling. He recalls the brutal fight against the Great Guardian. An elder interrupts, confirming the Guardian is dead. Kane had already spilled the whole story. The elder's expression darkens. He demands to know Nog's business with those goblin slayers. Terrified, Nog tries to explain his peaceful intentions, but the old man shuts him down. The elder scoffs at his adventurer fantasies. Saving a few goblins does not change the facts. Pointing at the slain beast, he asks if Nog understands the weight of his actions. Nog claims he summoned the beast for Kane's sake. Gumble adds to the frantic explanation. The monster turned on Nog next. The elder slams his staff, fuming over the lack of choice. Nog should have stayed out of it. The elder sighs, wiping the stress from his face. Goblins and humans are natural enemies. He cannot fathom Nog's obsession with those outsiders. "Why are you so blind?" Nog fires back, his voice thick with frustration and anger. He argues that not all adventurers are monsters. She adds that they must understand their motives. Nog vows to bridge the gap. He will find a path toward absolute harmony. The elder leaves him with one final cold warning. This is no longer a game. Turning away, he declares that if Nog stays with the enemy, his exile is permanent. He is forbidden from Rectoris forever. The elder leaves without looking back, abandoning him. The duo watches him vanish into silence. Later, Nog's hand grazes the Guardian's cold hide. He prays for the great beast's eternal rest. They stand together before the fallen legend. In the quiet clearing, she asks if he truly intends to return to that place. His resolve is set. He is heading back to the Red Ravens Guild immediately. He thanks Gumble for the rescue, but insists she cannot follow him this time. He will not let her lose her home too. But she reveals she has already made her choice. She once doubted this path was worth the pain. Meeting those adventurers changed her perspective. Watching their camaraderie, she finally sees the world through his eyes. Hope begins to bloom. Maybe peace is not just a fantasy. She extends her fist, ready to fight for it. Their dreams are now one and the same. She will walk this path with him forever. With fiery conviction, she declares their shared vision will soon become their reality. A mysterious egg remains on a log. Elsewhere, cheers erupt as warriors celebrate the Guardian's fall. They demand a rank promotion for the kill. Tyro is impressed, but questions if he had help. The warrior claims he soloed the beast after a surprise ambush. He lies about his solo victory. Holding the spoils, Tyros commends the party for their successful hunt today. The warrior stops Tyros, curious. With a grin, Tyros says he is going to find Nog. He wants Gumball too. He has not forgotten the little gnome boy from before. A memory flashes. He landed a clean hit. Far-off Nog vanishes into the thicket. Could he have survived that? The duo arrives, shouting for Tyros and the giant. They bow, apologizing for their tardiness. Arya snaps, asking if they were just vibe-checking. The veteran remains stone-faced, his mind racing back to his encounter with Nog. Flashback. That strike was lethal. Is that boy really still breathing? He remembers that clumsy fool. Suddenly, Tyros grabs his shoulder, grinning. The squad is all here. With a sharp smile, the real hunt begins. Gable grumbles about the potion errand. Nog claims they had private matters. The others were clueless. Finally, they reach the massive shop doors. Nog freezes. That hunting request on the wall is absolutely terrifying. Inside, they call out for their order. The shopkeeper glares, eyes piercing through them. Red ravens, she asks, stirring a bubbling cauldron. These two look like total amateurs. Nog stammers mentioning Tyros sent them. Then a heavy thud echoes behind them. The massive warrior enters, claiming the two rookies as his own. The owner smirks. It has been ages. He knows she wouldn't recognize the newbies. He looks Nog, dead in the eye. He needs an answer, and he needs it now. How did you survive that beast? Shaking Nog claims he just outran death. The veteran pushes harder. Did you actually take that monster down yourself? Nog adjusts his crooked mask frantically, denying everything. The warrior is visibly stunned. He honestly thought Nog was the slayer. He drops a heavy bag the Red Raven supply. Pay up, the shopkeeper demands, hand outstretched. The rookies freeze, they are broke. Tyros forgot the gold. To end the awkwardness, the warrior slams a coin purse down. Take it from here, he says coldly. They grab the potions and bolt. They thank her and vanish. The warrior watches, convinced Nog is just dead weight. Recalling that strike, he is certain. There is no way Nog killed that thing. Outside, Nog stares at the glowing vials. Is this made from goblin blood? Of course, she confirms. It is the base for every decent attack potion. He stands paralyzed. The horrifying truth begins to sink in. He pictures the gear every adventurer wears, the armor, the capes, the forged steel, and the rations sold throughout the city streets. It clicks. Monsters aren't enemies, they are just raw materials for humans. Knowing it was one thing, seeing the scale, that was true nightmare fuel. His family just loot. Pure rage boils over as he crushes the glass vial. The witch offers medicine for his stomachache. He rejects it instantly. I am fine, the warrior sighs, telling them to regroup with the others. Later, they reach the boar den, tracking a massive trail through the peaks. He narrates his descent. His world was flipping upside down in an instant. I thought it could not get worse. He was dead wrong. He had no clue. The real nightmare was only just beginning. Nog gasps. Did Gumo the boar really cause all this carnage? Tyros nods. It is him. The warrior notes. The blood is still fresh. Laura clings to Arya in terror. Arya snaps at her to get a grip. Carcasses litter the path. He watches his voice stolen by the horror. Tyros mounts up. No time for sightseeing. We move now. They push forward, horses trotting through the narrow, jagged canyon walls. Pip lets out a wide yawn. Suddenly, their beast freezes, hoisting a suspicious leg. Sensing the stall, Tyros glares forward, his face hardening into a mask of pure focus. The entire party grinds to a halt before a massive, towering monolith of stone. From atop her steed, Laura gestures toward the path. It simply vanishes into nothingness. A baffled Edward questions the dead end, while Arya confirms the crimson tracks have evaporated. The warrior scowls, concluding their prey has pulled a literal disappearing act. Nog's mind reels, is that even possible? Eyeing the diverging roads, Tyros finally breaks the silence. It's close, he declares, commanding the team to divide and conquer immediately. Arya and Laura claim the upper ridge, while the rest plunge deep into the canyon. Glancing back, Laura warns them to fire a flare the moment they spot that beast. Tyros nods, setting a 5-hour deadline. A chorus of determined shouts echoes through the rocks. Tyros leads his squad away, scaling the treacherous high-altitude route. They ascend a punishingly steep incline, moving in a tight single-file formation. Navigating the claustrophobic gorge, the lead mount suddenly hits the brakes. It hoists a trembling paw. A stunned Tyros can barely process the sight before him. The squad freezes in their tracks, eyes locked onto the brewing anomaly ahead. Peering forward, Laura gasps as another split in the road mocks their progress. Hugo growls a warning. Another split means they are sitting ducks for a lethal ambush. Pip chimes in, offering to unleash his specialized analysis skill to break the deadlock. He reveals his newly evolved ability can now sniff out their target's precise location. He snaps at Pip in frustration, leaving a bewildered Laura wondering who he is arguing with. Smirking, he centers his focus, ready to burn mana and activate his ultimate tracking. Analysis active. He scans the terrain until the glowing phantom trail flickers into view. The system locks on, but the data is a mess, distorted and heavily masked. He gets it. The prints are perfectly camouflaged. Never has he encountered a beast this elite at stealth. Something is fishy. How could a massive beast move with such impossible ghostly silence? Gesturing toward a dark opening, he confirms Gumo definitely ventured down that specific path. A skeptical Tyros demands proof amidst the trackless dirt. Nog simply meets his gaze. Just this once, he murmurs, "You are going to have to take my word for it." Flashing a cocky grin, he doubles down. The beast is waiting right there in the shadows. Despite his confidence, a wave of doubt washes over the rest of the hunting party. Tyros studies Nog, searching for a lie. Finding none, a slow, knowing smirk spreads. "I'm in," Tyros declares, betting the entire team's lives on Nog's gut feeling. Empowered Nog takes point, but their steeds suddenly refuse to take another single step. The beasts cower before a dark maw. Hugo mutters that Gumo must be inside. Abandoning the mounts, Tyros leads them on foot, stepping into the abyss of the cave. An eerie, oppressive pressure leaks from the darkness, sending cold shivers down their spines. Staring into the gloom, Nog recognizes this sinister vibe just as a silhouette emerges. Advancing further, the grim reality hits. Gumo's broken, lifeless body lies sprawled in the dirt. Beside the fallen hunter, a monstrous clawed hand twitches in the flickering light. Silence shatters as a colossal elite predator lunges out, letting out a blood-curdling roar. Pip screams a warning. This level 27 nightmare is in a completely different league. The beast bellows, unleashing a wave of pure terror that physically blasts Laura backward. Arya winces, shielding her ears from the sonic assault while the party digs in. To fight the paralysis, Pip realizes his buffed analysis is the only thing keeping them standing. The monster lunges, targeting Tyros with a bone-crushing strike that shatters the very earth. Dust explodes as the shockwave sends the team flying. Nog does not hesitate. He triggers his acceleration skill to blur through the chaos, catching his falling allies just in time. He shoves Gooble to safety, ignoring her protests with a quick quip. Laura slams down a mana barrier, checking for casualties as Hugo praises her quick thinking. Nog screams for Tyros to retreat, but the leader's eyes are fixed on the monster's massive bounty. Ignoring the danger, Tyros draws his blade, demanding Nog stop acting like a coward and help him slay this legendary beast. Arya steps up to help, but Nog bellows for them to hold their ground. Gooble rushes in, but Nog shuts her down. Suddenly, the beast lands a devastating blow on Tyro. Tyro is launched into the air. The monster roars, claiming they don't understand the true horror yet. Hanging in midair, Tyro stares down the beast, paralyzed by its overwhelming power. Lunging forward, the creature buries a massive fist deep into Tyro's stomach. A violent explosion erupts, masking the battlefield in thick dust. Laura grips her staff, trembling. She's frozen by the Titan's raw strength, realizing this isn't a fight they can win. Tyro crashes into the stone wall as the group screams. Arya's eyes ignite with murderous rage. She curses the behemoth's size and charges, vowing to make it pay for everything. The beast just flashes a wicked grin and leaps toward the approaching squad. She swings her halberd, but the monster's blinding speed leaves her completely wide open. Using her weapon as a shield, she barely survives the stomp. "How is it this fast?" she screams. Seeing her comrade in peril, Laura sprints forward and conjures a shimmering protective ward, but the monster's weight is crushing. The barrier begins to splinter under the sheer pressure. "I can't hold it," she shrieks. Nog dives into the fray, barking orders to move now. The magic shatters like glass as the monster's foot finally slams home. Miles away, another party spots the shockwave. They realize a life-or-death struggle is unfolding. Their leader commands them to move double time toward the epicenter of the blast. What kind of beast creates tremors like this? Meanwhile, the explosion hurls the girls backward. Nog watches the carnage with sharp, calculating eyes. Slowly, Tyro begins to push himself up. To everyone's shock, he's smiling. This is the exact moment he's been craving. He finally found a worthy foe. Gripping his blade, he prepares to unleash his true potential. "I won't run from a B rank," he shouts, staring down death itself, with zero fear. He was sick of the grind, fighting weaklings just to survive. Now the real game begins. Dangerous, sure, but he needs to shatter his limits to reach the top. The beast stares back with a ghastly grin. Tyro's power flares, lighting up the dark cavern. "I'll be the greatest adventurer ever," Tyro roars, charging the monster like a lightning bolt. He spins his sword, weaving a deadly dance for his most devastating strike yet. Nog is stunned by Tyro's insane speed. "Take this," Tyro bellows, daring the beast to block. He raises his blade, channeling every ounce of his soul into a single focused point. With a sharp exhale, he executes. He sprints along the wall, narrowly dodging a counterswing. He shreds the creature's hide with rapid slashes before readying his ultimate phoenix technique. The resulting blast causes the ceiling to collapse. Rocks rain down on the terrified group. Arya and Laura are still inside. Nog screams, urging Tyro to retreat before they're buried alive. Tyro looks back thinking it's over, but a chilling aura suddenly washes over him. A massive hand erupts from the smoke, snatching Tyro before he can even blink. The monster sinks its jagged teeth into him, trapping the warrior in a grisly grip. It tosses him like a rag doll and prepares for a finishing blow. Tyro is hammered into the dirt with bone-breaking force. Nog screams in pure desperation. Struggling in the creature's grasp, Tyro realizes it sacrificed an arm just to tank his hit. "You bastard. I'm going to end you," he growls, his blood boiling with rage. Their pain won't be for nothing. The monster ignores his resolve, pounding the earth relentlessly. Tyro blames himself for this mess. He brought them here, and he has to fix it. With one final burst, he punches the beast's jaw, shattering its grip and breaking free. "This ends now," he screams, unleashing a blinding torrent of power to finish the job. Nog lunges at the beast with pure grit. Suddenly, a projectile streaks through the air, clobbering the monster's skull. Launching forward, Nog snatches Tyros from certain death, roaring that he's got him. Stunned by the unexpected save, Tyros stammers Nog's name in total shock. Hefting him up, Nog tells the battered adventurer he's carried enough weight. "Leave the rest to me," Nog vows, promising an escape. He summons Pip, signaling it's time to move out. The spirit chirps in agreement. Activating level 2. Acceleration. Nog blurs past the behemoth, barely parrying a massive blow. He tanks the beast's fury, triggering a violent blast. Tyros watches, mind blown by Nog's impossible display of power. Whipping up a gale, he rockets out of the abyss with Tyros. Escaping the cave, he bellows for Gubble's backup. Locked and loaded, Gubble plants her feet, her stomp shaking the earth as she readies her final move. "Eat this, you monster," she growls. Coiling her fist, she locks onto the cave's mouth with deadly intent. She nukes the stone wall with a punch that erupts in rubble. The impact triggers a massive cave-in, burying the entrance, sealing the beast inside. Seeing the squad arrive, Nog and Tyros share a relieved grin as Nog eyes his crew. With the beast buried, Nog roars in triumph, hyped that they're safe, while shouting props to his heavy-hitting friend. He flashes a thumbs up, praising her insane power. She returns the gesture, impressed by his slick getaway strategy. The backup arrives, scanning the debris. "Is it over?" the warrior asks, gazing at the absolute chaos left behind. Nearby, the two girls lie out cold. Slumped on the dirt, Tyros tries to piece together the madness that unfolded. But suddenly his face goes pale as he stares at the rock pile. From beneath the crushing weight of stone, a monstrous hand claws through. With one world-shattering strike, the beast erupts from the debris like a waking nightmare. "I'm not staying to see what that thing is," Edward quakes. As Tyros limps toward Nog, he warns the group. Tyros admits the monster is on another level. "We can't win this," he gasps. "Everyone get out of here now." The beast's roar shakes their souls. Nog orders them to flee, vowing to hold the line against the monster alone. The monster coils its massive frame on a rock, loading up power. Like a cannonball, it launches straight at them. It lands with a bone-shaking thud, but Nog stands firm. "Not today," he mutters, as dark memories begin to surface. He remembers this cold, suffocating despair. He's been forced to abandon comrades before, and it haunts his very soul. He thought running early would save them from this hell. Now he's back at that impossible crossroads, forced to choose. His life or theirs. He's sick of that twisted choice. Recalling their shared toast, a new fire ignites within him. "Not this time," he bellows. With unwavering resolve, he declares that everyone is making it home alive together. Gubble stares at him, stunned by his sudden shift in aura. Nog locks eyes with them, announcing he's got a plan, but he needs every soul to pitch in. The legendary warrior just watches him weighed down by the battlefield's silence. Factoring in the monster's insane stats, the warrior weighs their odds. Finally, he nods. He's in for this crazy gamble, saying it works for him. Tyros smirks the light of battle, returning to his eyes as they prep their counterstrike. The squad rallies behind Nog's lead. Suddenly, the monster bursts through the remaining wall, charging with pure, murderous intent. "Scatter, execute the plan," Nog commands. He slams his foot down, anchoring himself for the incoming storm of violence. He unleashes a colossal shockwave, then skyrockets into the air, narrowly dodging a strike that sends Edward tumbling backward. Edward hits the dirt hard. Skidding across the ground, Nog grins at Pip, ready to test their newest skill. Their energy peaks as they trigger the ability. In a flash of light, multiple copies of Nog materialize on the field. Clones swarm the area. Illusions, or some high-level trickery, the warrior asks, eyes darting between the multiple Nogs. "Since when could he do that?" Edward shouts. The clones encircle the beast, mocking it with perfectly timed taunts. Enraged, the beast roars, readying a wide-range strike to wipe the field. Hidden in the chaos, the real Nog watches. He preps the next phase. The monster lashes out, but the clones poof into smoke with every frantic swing. Keeping his distance, Nog smirks. The plan is working. He's using the decoys to bait the monster into his trap. While the beast swings at shadows, Nog sprints toward the high ground, scaling the hill to position himself perfectly. With the monster hot on his heels, Nog feels the rush of an old-school game. He vaults off the precipice. "Come and get me, you freak," Nog dares. Blinded by rage, the behemoth lunges after him into the open air. The beast dives into the void, chasing Nog down. "It's actually jumping," the warrior bellows in absolute disbelief. "Nog, watch out," his comrade screams. The monster is hovering right over him in a mid-air death dive. Pivoting mid-flight, he finally grips the secret weapon he's been clutching for this moment. This was all calculated. Firing his grappling hook, he snags the cliff and swings wide. Below, the beast plunges into the abyss, barely missing its mark. Gumball roars as the trap succeeds. Celebrating their victory, a baffled Tyros demands to know where that hook even came from. With a bone-shattering thud, the monster eats dirt. Dangling above, he mocks the frustrated creature. Everything is going according to plan. Clinging to the stone, he dares the beast to come get him. Steel in his eyes, he notes that while the beast is fast, he's simply on another level. He leaps into the void, declaring that a goblin's speed is second to none. Watching the chaos, Edward calls it absolute madness. The warrior stands frozen, never having seen such insane agility from an adventurer. Suddenly, clones rappel down to blitz the monster. He bellows the signal for everyone to move. The trap is sprung. He announces that everything is ready, screaming for them to strike now. The squad rains projectiles onto the rock wall. Panicked, he realizes those gremlins are about to blow, and he's in the blast zone. Lunging upward, the monster tries to snatch him from the air. With a desperate burst of speed, he narrowly maneuvers past the creature's jagged claws. He exhales, shaken by the near-death encounter. Seeing the success, the team erupts in cheers. Tyros isn't celebrating yet. He senses the danger isn't over. A deafening roar echoes through the canyon. The ground shatters where the beast fell. A massive clawed hand erupts from the dust. It's still alive. Plunging toward the crater, Nog knew a simple fall wouldn't finish a monster this tier. This was the endgame all along. He and Pip share a grin, ready to farm some serious experience. With eyes glowing like embers, he aims for the kill. He slices his own support rope with precision. Diving through a storm of debris, he descends like a meteor toward the target below. He barks an order for Pip to sync up for the final combined assault. Pip obeys instantly, ready to strike. The system reveals he's dumped every single point into pure agility. Stats assigned, a golden notification flashes as the system grants him a devastating new ability. Skill evolution complete. He ignites level 3 acceleration to deliver a high-velocity finishing blow. He impacts like a lightning bolt, crushing the monster's skull. The warrior watches in total silence, unable to process the sheer violence. Amidst the smoke, he keeps moving as the beast twitches. Falling at terminal velocity, he braces for the final execution. With one clean stroke, he connects, carving through flesh and bone. His blade tears the monster apart, splitting it down the middle. Moving like a blur, Nog executes the creature. He uses its massive carcass as a landing pad. As the dust settles, Edward asks if anyone else saw that impossible feat. The other adventurer stammers, convinced he saw a shadow move. In the chaos, Nog's mask slips. Another masked goblin watches, paralyzed by the reveal. The rest of the squad sees nothing but smoke. When questioned, Tyros admits his eyes couldn't even track that kind of speed. Still laughing, he notes Nog always hides a trump card. The other stares, calling this evolution borderline unnatural. Level-up screens flood his vision as Nog walks away, the mission officially cleared. At the tavern, an adventurer groans over his drink, hating that he missed the legendary fight. Laura corners him, demanding to know how he survived that lethal drop. The group begins the interrogation. Chuckling at the chaos, Nog tells the hyped-up crowd to ask one question at a time. He basks in the glow, never having felt this much respect. Elsewhere, Tyros recounts the B-rank kill. His expression darkens, haunted by his own failures as a leader during the raid. He relives the nightmare where his pride put everyone's lives on the line. Only Nog remained calm, facing that abomination without flinching. Nog is a true predator who refuses to let his pack die. Despite the paralyzing fear, they fought as one. He remembers his blade shattering against the beast. Back in the present, he wonders how long it'll take to reach Nog's god-tier level. Trekking through the woods, Nog notes their rising fame as elite adventurers. Gable cuts him off, laughing that he's the only star. Curious, she asks who trained him. He stammers, mentioning Pip again. She groans, tired of hearing about his ghostly mentor. Suddenly, a fuming Pip manifests, screaming he's no ghost. Gable just stares him down. She reminds him they're hunting goblin slayers. Then she slams him for only chasing raw power. Nog nods, admitting it feels damn good to finally be wanted for once. This life is a far cry from the living hell he survived before. Flashback goblins mocked his failed inventions. An elder roared that only strength matters. Back then, power was everything. Nog was left rotting in total isolation. Now Gable warns him if they find out his secret, it's game over. Nog freezes. She drops her mask. They'll slaughter you like any monster. He shoves it back on. I'm proving I'm different, he insists. She scoffs, doubting these adventurers are truly allies. Pip flickers in whispering never to forget their true nature. Nog's gaze hardens. This group makes me believe, he vows. Someday he'll show Gable the truth. Gable taps his shoulder, prepping a heavy warning. He just laughs with Pip. He's certain goblins and humans can coexist. Gable just stares at his stubborn face. Fine, be a fool, she snaps. If he won't listen, she'll make him feel it. Crack. She punches his lights out while a hidden shadow watches from the brush. Drunk on power, he bellows in triumph. Taking down that troll triggered massive level ups. He checks his UI, shocked to find a top-tier skill unlocked. Pip warns him though. You can't even control that. Pip snaps. But Nog sees the stats scaling. It's broken. Pip demands caution. Naturally, Nog ignores the lecture and preps for a test run. He charges ahead. Annoyed, Pip wonders if Nog even hears a word he says. He triggers the skill, hurling a massive ice block that obliterates his target. He remembers that dead beast he found the moment his thirst for strength was born. Now his projectile smashes the mountain, triggering a violent, earth-shaking explosion. They barely survived that troll. It took 5 of them just to scrape a win. If I were stronger, nobody would have bled, he realizes. He roars his resolve to Pip. More power, give me more, he yells. Pip orders more training. Nog starts whining. He grinded hard. Soon news of the B-rank kill turns them into citywide legends. The guild is swamped. Tyros drowns in a sea of high-tier quest requests. Leaving the ancient woods, they set out to hunt the world's deadliest monsters. Those who saw them fight are leveling up fast, fueled by a desperate urgency. Hugo and Laura sharpen their blades, chasing the shadows of legends through new dangers. Facing a titan, he hungers for evolution. Tyros ignites his blade into a roaring inferno. He lunges at the demon blade, poised to deliver a definitive, soul-crushing final strike. Time flies. A group photo captures their bond. 2 months later, the grind continues. On a rooftop, Nog accidentally squashes a bug. Finally, a rare moment of peace. Under the starlight, he whispers how quiet the world feels. A shooting star streaks by. Maybe we're getting soft, he muses. Suddenly, a shout from below shatters the silence. Arya spots them. The guildmaster is calling an emergency meeting. Move it. Orders are in. Main hall. Full gear. Now, they scramble to prep their equipment. Gable wonders why the master is summoning them so late. Nog's eyes narrow. They enter the hall. Master Sefer stands on the dais, clearing his throat solemnly. The speech begins. The Red Ravens have officially ascended the guild rankings, he declares. After a month of grinding in the shadows, the crowd finally notices their hustle. Their efforts are finally taking center stage. With a stone-faced expression, Tyros locks in on the guildmaster's every word. The gravity of the announcement is undeniable. Word of the guild's meteoric rise has already set the streets ablaze. Hearing the rumors, Nog and Gubble are absolutely shook. Suddenly, a royal envoy from the Kingdom of Cromor arrives, announcing a massive recruitment drive for elite adventurers. Flanking him, 2 eerie warriors emerge from the shadows. Their sheer pressure fills the hall, unmistakable A-rank monsters. The first Titan is introduced as Hale. Standing right beside him is Dorian, another legendary A-rank powerhouse. The envoy bellows that they're scouting top-tier talent for a perilous A-rank mission. The entire room goes dead silent. Nog and Pip can't hide their shock. Cromor isn't just any nation, it's the most dominant empire on the map. Seeing his golden ticket, Tyros' eyes light up with pure adrenaline. But the messenger isn't finished yet. The king has personally handpicked the worthy. Unfurling a royal scroll, he demands the chosen few step into the light. First up, Tyros Talon B rank. Following him is the massive powerhouse Goliath Valar. He's also B rank and ready for war. Then Arya Windwalker, a C rank, is drafted for this high-stakes royal mission. Finally, Laura Rivers, another C rank, hears her name echo through the hall. Next is the fierce Edward Wolf. This C ranker steps forward, followed immediately by the sharp-eyed Nathan Wren, also a C rank. Killian White joins the elite roster. But then, a choice that leaves everyone gasping, the C-rank Gubble is called. Gubble is officially in. Now, with the tension at a breaking point, the messenger prepares to reveal the final name. It's Nog, the B-rank dark horse. Later, under the flicker of a campfire, the team settles in for the night. While the others wind down, Gubble snaps, berating Nog for selling their souls to a human empire. Nog remains calm, clutching a mysterious box while absorbing her fury. Suddenly, the lid clicks open. He validates her fear, but argues this is the bridge they need, a chance for goblins and humans to unite. This is their path to true power, he claims. Infuriated, Gubble lunges, demanding why he's so obsessed with strength. Fuming, she screams that they owe humans nothing. Tears stream down her face as she laments how he's changed. Power is all he sees now. She grips his arm like a vice, desperate to reach him. Frustrated, he pushes back. He only wants to safeguard their kin. Sobbing, she reminds him their real mission was solving why humans hunt them. He roars that the goal hasn't shifted. Crushed, she wonders why they're dancing with death for a mystery. She turns to walk away, a haunting question lingering. What if he never comes back from this mission? If he falls, she's left with nothing. A rush of memories floods back. Gubble has always been his loyal shadow. She didn't need to understand the system. She just needed him. Through every hellish battle, her trust was absolute. Wiping her eyes, she yields. Fine, he won this round. She turns her back on him once more, but she leaves him with a warning. This is the final ride. Once this mission ends, she's going home. The scene shifts as their vessel finally docks at the Great Empire. The sheer scale of the capital is breathtaking. Nog admits this place is built different. Meanwhile, Gubble stays in the shadows, silently watching the city loom closer. Goliath warns everyone to stick together. In a crowd this massive, you could vanish without a single trace. Gone forever, Tyros laughs, telling the big guy to quit terrorizing the rookies. Goliath just shrugs with a smirk. As they walk, Tyros' aura flares with heat. He dares Goliath to pick a fight with someone his own size. He goads Goliath into a 60-second brawl right then and there. Watching the chaos unfold from the sidelines, Laura just sighs at the weird duo. Still, she admits that total opposites often make the deadliest teams. Arya cracks up, sharing a laugh with her friend. Noticing the mood dipping, Pip flutters over to hype them up. "Where's the hype, guys?" Pip chirps. They step into the guild hall, greeted by a sea of high-level elites. Nog immediately triggers his analysis skill, his eyes locking onto a nearby blade to gauge the competition. His screen pings everyone here is at least C rank. Then he spots a massive A-rank warhammer. He scans an A-rank tonfa held by another elite. They move deeper, passing through a grand ancient archway. The group enters the main sanctum. Suddenly, 3 titans from the legendary Sapphire Dragon Guild make their entrance. "Look, it's the kingdom's triple S rank heroes," someone gasps. Nog's eyes widen in absolute awe. This is insane. Driven by pure curiosity, he triggers his system to peek at their god-tier stats, zeroing in on the heroine. Access denied, Nog panics, asking PIP if his senses are fried, but the S-rank heroine interrupts with a deafening roar. Her voice hits like a physical shockwave, sending the entire party of elite adventurers sprawling across the dirt. Coldly, she declares that this quest is suicide, and any slip-ups will be fatal. Scanning the terrified faces, she tells them to lock in or vanish. With the crowd silenced, she finally prepares to drop the intel. A bloodthirsty orc empire is currently steamrolling through villages, leaving nothing but ashes and carnage in its wake. Visuals flicker showing a village engulfed in flames. This nightmare just hit A-rank status. The first vanguard was slaughtered instantly. Tyros steps up, telling the weak links to bail while they still can. The heroine adds that it just saves her the trouble of dragging their corpses home later. She passes the mic to the tactician, threatening anyone who dares to zone out. Shaking slightly, the man stammers through his gratitude. Nearby, Gubble whispers a warning to Nog about their brutal history with orcs. Old wounds reopen as memories of the orc-goblin blood feud resurface. A vision shows a defenseless goblin being crushed. Fueled by the traumatic memory, he clenches his fist, resolve burning in his eyes like a furnace. Fear is a luxury he cannot afford. He is evolved. Suddenly, his status window flickers to life, revealing he has hit level 23. Watching from the shadows, the S-rank heroine finds the situation quite intriguing. She retreats with her floating companion, smiling as she admits she could not actually see a single thing. From a jagged peak, the squad finally overlooks Udamore, the legendary and terrifying seat of the Orc Kingdom. The sheer scale of the fortress is staggering. Nog's stomach knots as he wonders if they truly stand a chance. Flashes of human cruelty flood his mind, but he forcefully buries the trauma, sharpening his focus for the battle. This strike is necessary. He reminds himself that orcs are savages who treat even goblins like trash. Tyros materializes beside him, sensing his tension. He calmly notes that war never gets easier, no matter the stakes. He applauds Nog's heart, noting how the boy always faces every monster with pure, unyielding sincerity. That bravery is contagious. Calling this their ultimate test, Tyros reveals a mysterious gift. Nog cracks the chest open as Tyros hails him as a master smith. Inside rests a masterpiece, a custom-forged blade. It is built perfectly for his fighting style. Tyros admits he snagged Nog's measurements from Gubble for a flawless grip. Gripping the steel, Nog senses the looming danger of the day. Tyros just gives a warm, knowing smirk. He simply wanted to arm a comrade. Overwhelmed, Nog thinks back to Grom's dream, of a world where everyone lives in harmony, a world where goblins and humans are not enemies, but allies. Overcome, Nog pulls Tyros into a sudden hug, catching the veteran completely off guard. His new weapon clatters to the floor as he hides his face, whispering a heartfelt thanks for everything. Tyros chuckles, saying it is too early for tears. Now, show me what that new steel can actually do. Below the orc sentries, spot the airship fleet descending from the heavens. The S-rank heroine narrows her eyes, barking the command to invade. Like falling stars, the adventurers plunge from the decks, igniting the siege. A mage weaves a slow fall enchantment around the vanguard, shielding them from the lethal drop. They hit the cobblestones with precision. An orc warrior bellows a warning, "We are under attack." Hale wastes no time shredding through 2 guards with blinding speed on the front lines. Alongside Dorian, he leads the main breach, preparing to unleash his devastating role in the plan. The extraction squad, Nog Tyros and the Titan Goliath, focus on the 1,000 prisoners lost within the city. But the streets are a war zone of fire and blood. This isn't just a battle, it is a targeted massacre. An explosion erupts right next to Nog, blinding him. Disoriented, he struggles to make sense of the chaos. His brain scrambles to process the carnage. Meanwhile, Gubble is on high alert, navigating another sector of the hellscape. Dorian squares off against a lethal orc samurai. Moments later, orc shadows leap from the rooftops surrounding them. Grinning, Dorian welcomes the challenge. One orc smirks, revealing a canister leaking ominous smoke. Dorian's heart sinks. Was this the weapon that downed the airship? Hale ignites his power jokingly, asking if these heads come with a bounty bonus. With a roar, he lobs a strike into the fray, cutting a path through the enemy swarm. With a guttural roar, the orc samurai hoists his massive blade. He spins in a deadly whirlwind, shattering the earth beneath him. As steel threatens to clash with the adventurer's strike, he channels every ounce of raw mana into his weapon. His war cry echoes as he shatters their offensive. Hale and Dorian are sent flying, blindsided by the orc's devastating counter. A blinding detonation swallows the battlefield whole. As the thick haze begins to drift, the carnage is finally revealed. Oniyama sneers at the human's pathetic bravery in his domain. Nearby, the husks of the fallen orcs dissolve into nothingness. Fresh, monstrous reinforcements surge through the mist to escalate the war. Suddenly, Kiyomi and Onikamaru descend, joining the fray. They claim this bloodshed was always fated. That's when the four-armed nightmare Onibaba reveals her terrifying presence to the entire shogunate. Onibaba doubles down. Peace was never an option. Kyonin declares a permanent blood feud between humans and monsters forever. High above on the airship, our heroine looks down at the absolute hellscape unfolding below. She tracks the rising fireballs, monitoring the invasion, as another massive explosion rocks the city streets. Calculating the odds, she notes the orcs' overwhelming numbers. She edges toward the ledge, ready to tilt the scales herself. Spells begin to hum around her fingers. She admits their individual strength is much higher than she'd first anticipated. "That's why we're here," she whispers, plunging her blade into the deck before stepping off into the abyss. She plummets through the clouds like a terminal bullet. "Prepare for a taste of real power," she screams midair. Descending at high speeds, she decides it's time to go all out. Her ultimate meteor ability flickers into life. The sky ignites as the projectile streaks downward. Below, the orcs look up, paralyzed by pure, unadulterated terror. One brave orc tries to parry the incoming doom with his sword. He stares skyward, realizing his steel won't save him. Impact! A colossal crystal spire erupts from the pavement, vaporizing everything in a massive, shimmering blast. Elsewhere, another hero joins the slaughter, cleaving a monster in two. The group watches, frozen in utter disbelief. Seeing an adventurer executed before their eyes, the reality of the massacre sinks in. Tyros's blood boils with murderous intent. Nog grabs him, they're outnumbered and outgunned. But Tyros refuses to sit back while his allies get butchered. He ignores the warning, staring intensely at the chaos. He won't let another nightmare unfold while he's just watching. "I'm not standing here while they die," he roars. Nog pleads with him to remember their true rescue mission. He shouts that he feels Tyros's pain, but they can still save the survivors if they stay focused. "Stick to the plan," Nog begs. Goliath adds that rushing in now is nothing but a suicide mission. Laura interjects, the prisoners might be their only hope to flip the script. Edward remains silent, eyes closed in agreement. Tyros is done talking. He whirls around, eyes blazing with pure, unbridled rage at his hesitant teammates. "The front line is failing," he screams. Nog senses something snap within his friend as Tyros tenses up. Boom! A massive blast rips through the street, rattling their very bones. The danger has finally found them. Tyros doesn't hesitate. He bolts toward the fire, leaving his teammates behind. Nog can only watch him go, horrified. Suddenly, the S-rank heroine emerges from the smoke. She stands right in their path, looking like a goddess of war. Dragging a defeated orc, she asks why they're still stuck at the gate. "You guys are moving pretty slow." Tyros feels the sting of her words. He compares his own perceived weakness to her overwhelming, effortless presence. He pivots, deciding to draw the orcs aggro west. It's the only way to give the group a real chance. He can't stomach the massive gap between their power levels. The heroine tells him to hold up, but he's gone. "Is this all for me?" she wonders aloud. Then she sighs. No, he's clearly driven by something far more personal. She engages her skills, refocusing on the original goal. As her mana flares, the air around her begins to vibrate. Nog's jaw drops at her insane speed. "Is that an acceleration buff? I'm not letting her go alone." Goebbels tries to hold him back. The heroine gave them strict orders, but the team is already splintering apart. In the back of Tyros's mind, memories resurface. A younger version of him hides, feeling completely abandoned and misunderstood. He sees it again, his parents lying dead. The trauma of that day hits him like a freight train. He stifles a scream, trembling as the past haunts him. Fury takes over. He's following her no matter the cost. He ignites his skills, leaping after the heroine and blocking Nog from intervening. This is his fight now. Goliath watches him go, telling the others to stay put. The carnage has clearly triggered a dormant darkness in him. Goliath recognizes that lethal gaze from the old days. He remembers the terrifying heat of Tyros's vengeful blazing flames. Blinded by pure fury, he snapped as the heroine's taunts only fueled the fire. Goliath scoffs, claiming Tyros is now no different from the very beasts he's hunting. But suddenly, trust him, Nog insists that's just who Tyros is. Goliath grunts, refocusing them on the rescue mission. We're outnumbered, an adventurer gasps, pale-faced. Before they can panic, another veteran steps up, ordering the heroine to concentrate her firepower westward. They pivot, opting for a tactical detour through the city's eastern sector. Nog frowns, doubting if this path is truly any safer. Suddenly, his perception skill screams a warning. Enemies are closing in from the east. They're walking into a trap. Boom. A massive blast detonates right at their feet, sending a shockwave through the entire group. The ground shatters, obliterating their escape route. One comrade takes a direct hit and is sent flying. He's mangled and motionless. Laura checks for a pulse, then darkly confirms he's gone. Nog stands frozen, staring at his fallen ally in deafening silence. Then a hulking orc general emerges. To the west, Ryan roars, commanding his horde. The general sneers, sensing their long-awaited battle has arrived. Edward's voice trembles. What kind of monster is that? He can't look away from the horror. Nog recalls the unholy alliance between ogres and orcs. But why are they here? The math isn't adding up. The ogre sniffs the air, eyeing the small ones. Smell that, he growls. I've tasted their kind before. Delicious. He licks his lips. Let's see what pathetic faces are hiding under those masks. The ogre duo lets out a bone-chilling roar, unleashing a blinding beam of light directly at Nog and Gable. The goblins freeze as death streaks toward them. But then a bomb intercepting the blast changes everything. The collision triggers a massive fireball. Direct hit, the ogre cackles, certain he's vaporized the pests. From the smoke, Edward emerges unscathed, shield raised high. He flashes a grin and a thumbs up at Nog. Solid play, he mutters. Retreat now, Goliath bellows. The ogres watch the group scramble, their eyes full of malice. The beasts won't let up. Lunging forward, the group dives into a narrow alleyway to shake their pursuers. Sheltered behind a heavy door, the group readies their trap. The ogres, seeing them flee, only laugh. Think you can hide, the brute roars, charging headlong into the darkness to deliver a crushing lesson. He smashes through the door, yelling, "Nobody escapes us," but the room is empty. He's totally baffled. Click. He feels something under his foot, a tiny mechanical beast. Suddenly it begins to spark violently. T-0. The device detonates in a blinding flash, tearing the alleyway apart with a deafening blast. Was that high-level magic? An orc stammers, watching the smoke billow from the ruins of the alley. Nog rubs his chin thoughtfully. That blast was way more powerful than his prototype. What just happened? The ogre collapses, howling in agony as the flames lick his skin. A bomb. Since when can humans do that? Nog strikes from the shadows. He fires a grappling hook, aiming straight for the vulnerable beast on the ground. Nog zips toward the ogre, catching him completely off guard. Pinning him down, the monster can't believe he's been caught. "It was you," the ogre screams. Nog smirks. "Not just me." Suddenly, the entire squad emerges from the darkness. Checkmate. It was a setup, seizing the moment Goliath charges like a freight train weapon at the ready. Squelch. Goliath severs the ogre's arm in one clean stroke. Arya sneers. "We've been watching you this whole time." While another ally sweeps the ogre's legs, Goliath brings his massive hammer down right on its thick skull. The monster hits the dirt, bloody and broken. Seeing his brother fall, the other ogre lets out a sob. His grief instantly turns to murderous rage. He lunges for revenge, but Laura steps in, blocking his path. "You're not going anywhere," she cold talks him, conjuring a shimmering barrier that halts the ogre in his tracks. Goliath signals Gable. "Get ready, he's coming again." They drop into their stances, synchronized and lethal. Goliath and Gable link up for a devastating combo. The ogre stares, paralyzed by their perfect coordination. Goliath surges forward. "Do you have any idea who you're messing with?" He delivers a world-shaking blow to the head. The force triggers a shockwave, blasting the ogre backward. Goliath bellows again. "Who do you think I am?" The monster crashes through a building. He wails for his brother as the orcs jeer at his pathetic failure. Cradling his brother's limp form, he begs him to wake up desperately, whispering memories of their shared past. Defeated by those greedy hunters, he flashes back to the brothers stolen by human avarice. "My brother won't die like this," he shrieks, hot tears blurring his vision as he gasps. Their dream of world conquest lay in ruins. Suddenly, Goliath looms over them, demanding a warrior's end. Channeling every ounce of power, he locks onto the ogre for the final strike, sensing the impending doom. The beast's howl of despair is cut short as a colossal blast levels their hideout. It's from above. A voice screams through the falling debris. Confusion grips the survivors. Nog demands answers from Pip as fireballs rain down. From the roof, they witness a literal meteor shower of death. Ignoring the chaos, he shouts for Pip and triggers his analysis skill to pinpoint the attacker. His vision zooms, cutting through the smoke to lock onto the long-range source of this carnage. "You can actually see me," the enemy mocks, his curiosity piqued by Nog's sharp eyes. A chilling laugh echoes. Before them stands the nightmare Orc Emperor Onokuro, a terrifying level 80. Danger flares. A tangent-sized blast hurtles toward them. In a heartbeat, he and Pip are consumed by a blinding inferno. He grit his teeth, fighting to stay conscious against the crushing pressure. Shrapnel and stone rain down as the shockwave slams him violently into the dirt. Blacking out instantly, his limp body is hoisted by an orc confused by the sudden devastation. Orcs begin hauling away the broken adventurers. "Are you okay?" Pip whispers, receiving a strained nod. His health bar flickers red as his skull throbs. Suddenly, a lethal strike pierces an orc's chest. The onslaught doesn't stop, dropping another beast instantly. Seizing the opening, Goliath anchors himself a mountain of muscle. With a roar, he swings his massive blade into the fray. "You're just trash-tier goblins," he sneers, unleashing pure fury. The sheer violence leaves Nog stunned. Goliath Nog gasps. The giant turns, asking if it was Nog who summoned this chaos. "Better than no one, I guess," Goliath grunts. Nog admits he's lost track of the entire squad. Under a sky of falling embers, Goliath orders a retreat. This place is crawling with orcs. Lost and desperate, Nog asks for a plan. Goliath just scoffs in pure annoyance. "That's a low IQ goblin question," he spits. "We're storming the castle to end that orc emperor." Goliath knows the prisoners are doomed, unless they decapitate the enemy's leadership first. Reaching out, he offers a choice, ready to rush the boss. Memories flood Nog's mind. They were never allies. He recalls Goliath's brutal past, crushing a helpless goblin without mercy. He tightens his grip. "In this hellscape, you don't get to choose your saviors. Strength is survival." Goliath smirks, knowing exactly how desperate their situation has become. They lock hands, a grim pact forged in blood to slay the monster together. Detonations shake the foundation. An S-rank heroine demands Tyros, "Why are you still idling here?" She ordered him to save the captives, but he stammers about the mountain of adventurer corpses. She obliterates a beast with zero effort. "I don't need your help," she cold talks. True strength isn't about glory hunting on the front. She gestures toward the weak. Power exists to protect. She points to the thousands of innocents currently rotting in cages, waiting for salvation. "Is your sword only for killing?" she challenges. Guilt hits him like a truck as he roars in frustration. Memories resurface. Why did he even pick up a blade? Was his dream always this hollow? Nog's voice echoes in his soul, the promise of saving lives. His gaze turns steely. The fog clears. Fueled by a new purpose, he pivots to embrace his real destiny. Amidst the fire and fury, Tyros surveys the carnage. A realization finally dawns on him. If altruism is the mark of a true hero, then Nog is miles ahead of him. Had he been blind this whole time, that one embrace forces him to confront his arrogance. Watching his allies distance themselves, his ego crumbles. He shouts toward the heroine, voice cracking. "Decision made. Can you blast a path open?" he asks, ready to finally do what's right. Trapped by orcs, she admits he was right to stay away. Raising her blade, he bellows about returning to his squad. Smirking, she's relieved he finally found his resolve. Slicing a path open, she orders him to rescue the captives. "Fail again, and you're dead," she warns. Below the ceiling groans and fractures. Gable's heart sinks as the mission spirals out of control. She'd warned them, this was suicide. Standing tall, she steadies her breath for the nightmare ahead. Steel whistles past his ear, missing by an inch. He stumbles, head spinning from the near-death encounter. One fist shatters their shield like glass. With a desperate chant, Laura conjures a glowing sigil to block the strike. Shocked, the villain glares at the girl who halted his blade. He sneers that her parlor tricks won't save them, brandishing twin blades. He and Edward clash in a lethal dance. Seizing the moment, Hugo pounces onto the giant's back. Enraged, the beast swings his second blade just as Arya lunges into the fray. He parries her dual strike with crossed steel. Laura spins, shouting for Gable to rescue the hostages. Suddenly, memories flood in. Back to the day he rescued them both. Back then, she doubted her path was even worth it. Seeing Tyro, her eyes well up. She screams his name, remembering his unwavering support. She'd spent her life weeping and leaning on others. She remembers Edward constantly fleeing the carnage, screaming he wasn't a warrior. But now she realizes Nog and Gable changed everything. They taught her the true soul of an adventurer. Smiling through the chaos, she promises a different ending today. Stepping into formation, she tells the squad to let them handle the heavy hitters first. Gable stares at her friend's fiery gaze. Tightening her grip, she vows to return shortly. After every prisoner is safe, she blurs into motion, ghosting past the confused prison guards. Arya snatches Edward's collar, warning him not to pull a vanishing act. He just chuckles, insisting he's locked in for the ride. Chugging a potion, he reveals his choice was made ages ago. He'd rather die with his crew than live alone. A flicker of his former team haunts his mind for a second. Today his cowardice ends. He stands his ground forever. The villain growls, frustrated by the endless stream of pests crawling out of the woodwork. He vows to pulverize them with his ultimate technique. Suddenly, a thunderous boom echoes. The iron gates are ripped off their hinges. Tyros slams into the foe, launching him into the stone wall. Cut to Gable, navigating the corridors. This place is a fortress, and she knows it. Reaching the cells, she mutters that Nog would have been cooked if he'd tried a frontal assault. Desperate hands claw at the bars, pleading for salvation. As she draws closer, she sees the terror in the captive's eyes. Back away from the gate, she commands, "I'm getting you out." She readies her tools focused on freeing them before finding Nog. But then she senses something. The ceiling above her fractures. A split second later, the adjacent wall detonates in a shower of debris. Through the dust, a colossus wielding a massive blade emerges. He fixes his gaze on her, his expression chillingly stoic. He growls that her scent is unlike the weaklings around her. In a flash, his sword is raised. He hurtles forward his blade, connecting with Gable in a brutal collision. The impact is monstrous, sending her spinning through the masonry until she hits the dirt outside. He treads over the wreckage, surveying his handiwork with cold indifference. She struggles to her feet, and he actually praises her for surviving the hit. But now he's charging up something far more lethal, promising pure carnage. He leaps high, funneling raw energy into his blade. A vertical shockwave tears across the courtyard, homing in on Gable with impossible speed. The energy swallows her whole. Within the blinding light, she lets out a final, desperate cry. Nog. A catastrophic explosion erupts, turning night into day. Miles away, two mysterious figures witness the mushroom cloud. They trade glances, baffled by the sheer magnitude of the magical surge. The smaller one freezes, realizing the truth. Deep within the settling dust, a single eye snaps open. He glares into the heart of the explosion, gauging the absolute carnage of his strike. Hidden in the shadows, Nog notes Gumble met her match. Suddenly, Tyros erupts onto the scene. He shields her, commanding her to step back. Ready for blood, Tyros squares up for battle. The beast narrows its eyes at this intruder, curious about the flame-wielding warrior who just appeared. Sensing the intense heat, Tyros asks about the squad, but Nog has vanished into thin air. He nods, absorbing the chaos. He vows to crush the jailer and liberate every single captive. Blade unsheathed, he blurs toward the Titan. The monster staggers, caught off guard by his velocity. He's too fast, Gumble gasps. Lethal focus returns to the enemy's eyes as he readies for war. Tyros parries the lethal blow with a divine technique. Steel shrieks as their powers collide violently. The shockwave detonates. Unleashing a torrent of fire, he blasts the Titan into the far distance. The monster hurtles through a stone roof, swallowed by debris from that devastating fiery impact. Skidding across the dirt, Tyros stabilizes himself, panting as he leans heavily on his massive blade. He scans the ruins, eyes sharp for any flicker of movement from his fallen monstrous foe. But a voice rumbles through the smoke. The real fun is only just beginning for the enemy. I felt that the beast sneers, sensing the blazing fire roaring within the adventurer's burning soul. Tyros freezes. How did he survive that? Suddenly, Gumble's scream pierces the air as she lunges. She rushes to help, but a dark shadow intercepts her with a bone-chilling mocking taunt. Gumble barely evades a fist that shatters the earth. Her attacker smirks, impressed by her reflexes. Gnomes shouldn't be this quick, the stranger muses. Gumble glares. Is this monster even a gnome? Tyros realizes Gumble is trapped. He recalls the crushing weight of the promise he once made. Can he truly protect them? From behind iron bars, the prisoners track his movement with hope. The air trembles with the enemy's malice. A dark memory of a terrifying beast suddenly resurfaces. He sees that monster again. He white-knuckles his hilt. This time the ending will be different. Tyros shifts into a lethal stance, eyes glowing. He roars, charging forward with his blade raised. I must transcend, he yells. The monster laughs. Does he actually believe he's some legendary hero? Show me your resolve, the Titan bellows, colliding with Tyros in a chaotic storm of power. I'll give everything, Tyros screams. Nearby, a brutal punch sends Gumble reeling back in pure agony. Gumble hits the dirt. Her attacker laughs. It's always a riot watching these adventurers fall. Oh, poor baby, she sneers, fake crying at Gumble's pathetic bloodied expression and trembling form. Her smile turns venomous as she points a finger. You're nothing but murderers who invaded us. You slaughtered my kin, she screams. Gumble gasps out a plea. She's only here for the captives. Spare me your lies, she barks. Mercy is wasted on bloodthirsty, murderous scavengers like you. You play the hero while bathing in innocent blood. Empathy, she has none left for adventurers. She lunges for the kill as Gumble begs for peace amidst a shower of brutal blows.